Okay, we are back with the Octopode Conjurer. If I look at my streak, I should be at, 52 wins. And this will be 53 if I don't screw anything up. What's up, Legend Strider? How you doing, buddy? I look for what altars we found. We found Vehumet. It was in some fire, which would be real annoying for us to get to, and honestly, Vehumet's not that great anyway, so I'd rather skip it. Then after that, we found Che, who is quite a liability in the early game, because he makes you walk slowly. Not really something I want to roll the dice on as a conjurer. And then, of course, we found Gozag, who is amazing, but there are only 2 rations available. One is in my inventory, and one is in this sort of unfortunate vault, which we may or may not even want to do. Let's see what this ghost is. Alright, he's beatable. He's beatable. Speed 10, only 28 hit points. He's got a lot of evasion, but who cares? We could definitely Fulminate Prism his ass to death. He has low AC. Quokka Simulacrum is slower because he's a Simulacrum, so he's speed 10 effectively. Worker Ant Simulacrum, I think, is still speed 10. It doesn't say fast, so I assume so. Only real problem is this imp. So what we could do, I suppose... Hey, Tonehack, how you doing, buddy? It is early game, yeah. We've only been to D4. I really want to get in. I really want to get into this place. There's a Ring of Fire, which could be useful. There's a ration, which could definitely be useful. We could totally beat this stuff, you know? 9 hit points on the Worker Ant, 3 for the... Yeah. So we're just gonna, check out, we're just gonna foam. We're gonna miscast that, so we'll rest. We're gonna go back down here. We want these guys to be... Oops, I'm starving. I eat this ration. We want these guys to be organized in such a way that they're gonna sort of all take damage from this prism. And remember, I've got this Wand of Flame to bail me out of this situation if things go really badly. The only thing I'm well and truly afraid of here is the ghost, who can do 10 damage to me. But we've got 50 hit points, so I'm not too fearful. Why don't we start Searing Raying? Okay. Big explosion, does huge damage. Great. Oh, oops. If I press dot... I press dot, and it doesn't actually track it like the new Searing Ray is supposed to. Instead, it just tracks it directly to the location like the old Searing Ray behavior. That's interesting. Okay, so we'll back off. And we'll Searing Ray here. Hey, there we go. And it acted like a bolt. Sweet. So we get a ring. We get a ration. There's actually more stuff here. I didn't think there would be. Whoops. I'm not too afraid of this. Look at my big hit points. There's no spell hunger on my darts, so we're going to use that. Remember that when you cast spells, this is not something I talked about last time, but basically there is hunger. You get more hungry when you cast spells if you don't have enough intelligence and or spell casting. Both contribute to you taking less of a hunger penalty. So once you get to a certain point, it doesn't cost anything. There's a glowing war axe here. We will pick that up, although we won't wear it because we don't know what it is. Edort says, you don't have much reason to do this vault right now. I actually disagree, if only because it was an easy vault. Now, I know what this Ring of Fire is. I don't know if it's cursed or not. I really wanted to have it in my inventory because if I were to run into a really early Lindworm, for example, or maybe just like... I don't know, like an orc warrior with like a flaming weapon or something like that. Centaur with like a flaming longbow. It's a long shot. It probably wouldn't happen, but if I did run into something like that, I'd be real happy to have that Ring of Fire as a swap. And also, it's because that vault was just so easy to do. You know, if that ghost had been a little tougher, then maybe I wouldn't have wanted to do that. But you know. No, we found early Gozag, but we only have 1 ration, and that's why I'm not taking Gozag yet. I probably will take Gozag, just not at the moment. Alright, so this floor has Grinder on it, but with 50 hit points, I feel completely and totally confident about killing him. Hello. Check this out. So I move here. I know for sure Grinder cannot paralyze me like this. So I do a nice little Fulminate Prism. We have 5 potions of curing, so if I have a problem, I can heal myself a good bit. Well, okay, alright, Adort, that's... maybe the Centaur wasn't the best example, but... The basic idea stands. Okay, so the Fulminate Prism did not kill Grinder. That's okay. We'll put up another one. This will rob us of all of our hit points, or all of our mana, rather. We could Dart, but... let's see, I wonder which is more likely to do damage. Dart or 3 Evocations, Wand of Flame. It's kind of hard to say. We do have max spell power with Dart, so let's just do that. Okay, that's okay. We'll now use the Flame. Thing explodes, we get a nice Grinder kill. Sick. Close the door, and we'll rest up. Okay, so we have 2 new god choices. Will Fulminate Prism hit an enemy out of line of sight? It sure will, which makes it amazing for cheesing things such as stationary enemies, like, let's say, Oclob plants, or statues of various kinds. Anyway, yeah, so Ashenzari over here is really quite nice, but not good for a Octopode, because the way that Ashenzari works is the bonuses are based on the percentage of, like, types of equipment that you have cursed, and so it's very hard to get all your jewelry cursed on an Octopode, because you have a lot of slots that are basically jewelry slots, and so I would get a nice fat bonus to my spells with Ashenzari, but I would have to spend an awful lot of Remove Curse scrolls to get there. We don't have any Remove Curse scrolls, so it's not really correct. I guess things would sort of become automatically identified under Ashenzari, which is nice. At least I think that still happens. At a minimum, it'll tell you if things are cursed. And then also there's the huge, just enormous benefit of the fact that you will no longer suffer from Explore traps under Ashenzari. It's enormous. It's just really, really important. That alone makes me almost want to pick Ashenzari right now, I'm not going to lie. And we could make that work if we had to. On the other hand, Uskawa is just not a very good pick for this character unless I were to find a really nice transmutation early, ideally Stat Form or Blade Hand, something that would last me into the late game. Because Uskawa really wants you to be doing a lot of non-spell damage. I mean, spell damage will still trigger the paralysis and things that Uskawa can give you, but you want to be able to stab things. D3 Ash is pretty tempting even on an Octopode. I agree, if only to stop myself from being shafted further. Actually, you know what? I will do it. Even though Gozag is much better, we haven't found... Yeah, we have not found enough rations to really support Gozag. I'd want to have like 3, maybe 5 rations to be feeling safe about the fact that Gozag takes away my corpses. So I will actually take Ashenzari. And it's going to take a real goddamn long time for me to actually get any true benefits from this, but the fact that this will immediately stop me from taking... What is happening here? Oh, okay, so there's a new... Usually it's you just press Y here, but in the trunk I guess it's J/enter for join religion. That's weird. I kind of like the screen. It gives you more of an idea. It's kind of a duplicate of the Shift 6, upwards caret screen whenever you have a god. Okay, so if I were to click this, then I'm just pressing the upwards caret, and it's literally the same screen. So what has that done for me? That has told me what all this crap is. Pretty nice, right? Vorpal is a new word. I actually hate this because it's just the same as chopping. They just changed it. Now everything is just Vorpal. I think it takes a little bit of, panache away from DCSS. It's especially dumb because even blunt weapons are called Vorpal, so it's a little silly. Everyone said Vorpal anyways. That is a fair point. I could just eat Godwrath later and switch to someone better later on. That is true. Ashenzari really doesn't do too many dangerous things to you, especially if you're willing to just chill out in the Abyss for a while. I guess most things will know exactly where you are, which is kind of a problem. More importantly, you lose all those nice skills. So anyway, this is pretty cool, actually. We have a Ring of Wizardry, so that's going to make me fail less. This is a hugely useful item whenever you are a caster, because if I look at my spells, 11% fail rate on Fulminant Prism, I wear the Ring of Wizardry, becomes 4%. Essentially, it just raises the success rate, or lowers the fail rate at least, of all your spells. Doesn't give you more spell power, but you can stack up to 3 sources of Wizardry, so that's quite nice. Ring of Ice will give me RC plus and RF minus. Ring of Fire will give me RF plus and RC minus. So what we're going to do is we're going to wear both of them and have nothing at all. But it'll also give me a spell enhancer, that is to say more spell power on any fire or ice spell that I find, which has no effect on me right now. But the other thing is I can just take these off if I want to have RF plus, RC minus, and so on and so forth. So it's the same as putting it on, really. Alright, Grinder's dead, so let's enjoy a nice free D3. And in fact, there was an Orc Priest on this floor, because check this out, I auto-explored. This Australian Orc threw a boomerang at me, and then it says, the Orc Priest moves out of view. So, we're going to defeat these Australian Orcs, but we're going to do it cleverly. We're going to go to a staircase first. Did I lose him? I'm shouting to get him back. There he is. That's a different one, actually. And the goal of being here is, I could get confused by the wizard. I could take an awful lot of damage from the priest. A lot of really ugly things could have happened, and I just avoided that. Hey, baby! Alright, so as much as I was not excited about the Dagger of Freezing, I am real excited about the Dagger of Draining, because that is a flat damage boost to some degree. Some of that damage is flat, which means it doesn't matter that I'm doing very little damage with the dagger itself. I am doing straight up extra damage from draining things. I'm also reducing their hit dice, so if I have anything that affects their MR, for example, that goes through MR, that's going to be lowered. Also, how are you doing, Kilmatronics? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream, Gauissimo Gal. How you doing? Toss me a follow if you aren't already. If you like DCSS, I do enjoy streaming this game. We're doing a bit of a tutorial today on how to play a really difficult type of caster. More into Alona. Okay, I've heard of that game. I keep meaning to try some other roguelikes out. I just haven't gotten around to it. Alright, so we should have a pretty easy rest of the floor. Remember, we have already kind of been on D3. We just skipped it because of Grinder. Because we defeated Grinder, I can basically just tab this stuff, especially with this brand new dagger, which is just amazing. This dagger is so good that it's tempting to train a little bit of short blades. I might do that soon. Although, I think I'd rather keep getting Fulminant Prism and... yeah, just like getting more spell power on Fulminant Prism. Get that to 10 Conjuration and Hexes. Although, to be honest, I probably don't need to take Hexes that much further up. Let's just take that to 10. I'm going to be more interested in Conjuration spells, I think. For now, we haven't found anything else of value, so it's about time. Here's the thing about casters, once you are able to kill all of your enemies pretty consistently, what you want to do after that is focus on the things that keep you alive. That means it's time to train defenses after that. So we'll, you know what, we'll actually just take Conjurations to 7, Hexes to 7, we'll get that to a nice round number. We'll take Spellcasting up a little bit to get a little more mana, and also We'll maybe see what that does to our spell hunger. And then I'm probably going to go hog wild on fighting just to get hit points. Casters are hard, that's true. Fun thing about octopodes, I can constrict up to 8 things at once just by attacking them. So they will die really quickly. That makes me more likely to hit them as well, which is very nice with this dagger. In general, you will hit like a truck as an octopode, even as a caster. Oh, identify. Let's identify these potions. You may find it a little... Well, hold on. Let's think about... Here's the ID minigame, right? We got to think about what we've already identified. So from last session, we know that we have curing potions identified. We've got healing potions identified. We've got that awful garbage known as potion of stabbing identified. The good ones that we don't have are lignification. We don't have haste. We don't have might. We don't have... well, we don't have agi, but that doesn't exist anymore in Trunk. We don't have invis. There's a lot of good potions that could show up. On the other hand, the absolute best potions that we could look for in the early game, which is essentially curing and healing, and haste, which is awesome the whole game. But the thing is, haste we haven't found, but the other good stuff we have, for the most part. Whereas scrolls, we haven't found any of the best scrolls. We don't have fear, we don't have teleport even, which is really common. We don't have blink. So I'm more inclined, given the game state, to read the Scroll of Identify and the scroll on a different scroll. And now we have Telly. You may be wondering, why don't I just drink one of the 2 potions of unidentified potions? And the reason is because I have 5 potions of curing. I feel really good about the state of this character right now. I feel stronger than I did a minute ago. I know I'm not going to get teleported or shafted, which is great on account of worshipping Ashenzari. So the thing is, drinking this potion constitutes a risk of getting mutated. And that could give me Telly-itis or Berserkitis or some other horrible bullshit. So I'm just not going to do it. I might do this if it was really early in the game and I just don't have anything else to, you know what I mean? Like I just find this on D1 and nothing else. I probably would drink it. But right now I don't have to. So I'm going to hold off. When should you train dodging? Kilmatronic says. Not yet. I don't really have a hard and fast rule for when to do it. I generally... don't train many defenses other than fighting fighting and stealth, until I am feeling really confident about killing things consistently. This guy could definitely stand to train a little more fighting. But we also have the shield, don't forget. In fact, I wonder, yeah, 26% fail rate on Prism. It won't be long until we can wear this shield. We will start training that really, really soon. Really soon. I guess in GMAT it doesn't... Typically you do not end up constricting 8 things at once. Plus, what's this about? Plus 6 AC, Perpetual Blur? Yeah, Tone Hack, it's enormous. Ashenzari is enormously good for that reason. Huge buff to it when Ebbering made exploration traps. This stuff is not worrisome, so we're just going to go up and kill it. Nice. Hello. There's a longbow here. Well, I suppose I can drop my sling. I don't need these kinds of... Whoops, I dropped the potion of stabbing. I don't need these kind of ranged options anymore, since I have so many spells. Longbow is interesting. We could potentially go in that direction. I guess I'll pick it up in case I find a brand weapon scroll. It could be worth doing. Oh, random mutation could be plus 6 AC. Nah, no. Okay, we have nets now, so technically I could net things, then suck down a potion of stabbing and try to go for stabs, but I still don't think it's a very good move unless I were to actually train some short blades, which I could. I'm not really inclined to do it because I really want to get on defenses as soon as possible. And I'm already trying to get a little more in terms of casting first, see? Alrighty, so I don't want to get confused, even though I have a lot of potions of curing, I don't want to get confused. So we pop this prism here, we take a step back, and then I step here, and I've basically had something in between me and the wizard the entire time. I'll put another prism here, and check it out, there's still a wall between me and this wizard, and there's a knoll between me and this wizard. Just chill out. Boom, everything dies. Prism is really strong. Of course, it's also very resource costly. Okay, I have 50 hit points. I feel okay about fighting all these guys. This is a little dangerous, and the reason is because gnolls sometimes carry nets. However, in the current version of Trunk, I can actually see what they've got. None of them are quivering anything. Sick. Yeah, typically you end up with more remove curse than you need. Alright, so check it out. We're gonna put a prism here, and it's gonna blow up these fellas. Boom, look at that. If I didn't have prism, I might have felt worse about fighting that whole pack, but I did. You should be careful though, because, you know, that shaman was able to haste the gnolls, so I would not have been able to run away very easily, even though they didn't have nets. I also noticed that there was a flail of venom, which could have been pretty bad for me, but we had the Wand of Flame, 3 charges, and we had Telly if things really got bad, and we had Curing, so I was willing to take, you know, a small risk, but with Prism it's really not a huge deal. Okay, we're not going to try to stab this dude. Instead, we're just going to dart him. Dart. And then Ray. Well, you need more remove curse scrolls on an Octopode. You have more slots, and you're gonna see less of a... I'll explain more about exactly how it works, but basically on a normal character... Oh, hey, a Pain, an Imp. You gotta watch out for these Shadow Imps. They can do pretty good damage with Pain, but they die easily. On a normal character, the cool thing about Ash is that you curse your amulet and you curse your your 2 rings, and then what happens is, like, once you get more and more piety, you eventually get like +5 to all your magic stuff, like +5 skill to hexes, conjuration, spellcasting, fire magic, blah 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 blah, +5 to evocations even. I think you might even get some spellcasting, not sure about that. Makes you hugely more powerful. But with an Octopode, you've got to curse like 8 goddamn slots. It's really frustrating. Being told that I'm mispronouncing shaman, it's shaman. And JF Karen says it's shaman, which is definitely not right. I don't know about that. I thought it was shaman. I'm open to being wrong, but I have to consult with Dr. Google for that. Hey, Uncursed Amulet of Magic Regen, and that's a cool thing about Ashenzari. Like I said, it is great that Ashenzari, she will identify all your crap for you and let you know if it's cursed. So I knew that was a Amulet of Magic Regen. This is actually a really big early game benefit, because if I hadn't known what that amulet was, I wouldn't have worn it, because it could have been an Amulet of Harm or something, and then I wouldn't have been able to take it off, and it would have made my game much worse. Instead, it's an Amulet of Magic Regen, which is just great. Some gloves that I cannot wear because I don't have hands. Scroll of Remove Curse. Alright, so... Oh boy, this is dangerous. 17 damage possible from each of these priests. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop a prism, take a step away, and even though I won't be able to see it after this, I'll still see the explosion. Crap. He's still alive. Yeah, we'll just kill him. Alright, so check this out. You would wear Harm on an OpCj. I would not. I don't want to take more damage in bad situations. Alright, so check it out. Once we have Remove Curse, which we do, we can press A for abilities, and we can press Curse. And even though it's not going to do a whole lot for us just yet, we actually want to go ahead and curse something. We could curse the Kite Shield, which I think would immediately give us some shield skill. That could be interesting. Fulminate Prism is castable, even with the shield on. That's cool. Interesting. We could go ahead and train some shields, and then I'm not sure if it's going to give me shield skill immediately. It might. I can live with this. I can live with 21% fail rate on Prism. That's not good, but it's not bad. All right, we will curse, and this will be a learning experience for me too. We will curse the kite shield. Ordinarily, I would be rushing to curse jewelry, but again, this is an octopode, so it's not going to be all that helpful for me. So we curse the shield. I actually need to, whether it was going to give me skill or not, it won't do it when I have 0, so let's train that a little bit. But also the benefit of having something cursed on Ashenzari. She wants you to be cursed, right? She's the god of curses. The more cursed you are, the more piety you get as you walk around and explore areas you haven't been to before. Okay, so that gave me a good bit of shield skill. I don't see a bonus, unfortunately. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, no, I can't even switch to like the base versus the modified because there's no modifications. But as we gain more, as we curse more slots, and as we gain more piety, actually, wait a minute, I can probably see this. Yeah, here it is. The more cursed you are, the more Ashenzari supports your skills. So this is grayed out. That means I don't have enough piety yet. But cursing that shield means I'm going to get more piety, so I'm on the way. But having that shield cursed also means I won't be able to take it off. So let's go ahead and enchant that up more. We're going to be stuck with the shield for a good long while, most likely. It was perhaps a little bit early for me to do this, but as long as I train shields, I'll be lowering the failure rate. And it should be fine. Check Ash wiki page. I think you need both arms cursed. I don't think so. I think that if you curse shields alone and you have enough piety, you will get shield skill, and we're going to find out. We'll find out. Wyvern Zombie is actually a bit dangerous. Uh-oh! He's fast. He can do 16 damage. This is actually really horribly dangerous. I could die here. Whoops. It's unlikely for me to die here, but if he were to hit... Shit. I forgot. I forgot that, zombies are fast. I died this way once on a streak. Uh-oh. What should we do? The shield will probably block. We could net. That was what I was considering. It's not guaranteed to work. No, not all zombies are fast. All wyverns are fast, and this is a derived undead. And while becoming a derived undead tends to slow you down in terms of like if you're a simulacrum anyway. You're looking at a speed 15 monster. I don't know how to look up just a zombie. I suspect he's probably like speed 14. Zombie... Okay, yeah, it is slower than it would be, but it's just so fast while alive. How many hit points does he have left? He is almost destroyed, so probably not very many. The ray is really likely to kill him if I just let it go, but there is a chance that I just die if he gets 2 attacks. He's not hugely likely. It's Wyvern Zombie, not Zombie Wyvern. Oh, whatever. It's the same thing. Can I just magic dart him? No, that does up to 1d8 damage. I think that's not guaranteed to kill him. Anyway, yeah, he's not super likely to get 2 attacks on me. Let's see his evasion. His evasion's crap. We're just going to let this happen. Alright. Searing Ray hits him and he dies. That was a huge mistake on my part. Let's get some intelligence. That'll increase my spell success rate. So basically I made the mistake of assuming he was speed 10 and he was not. I just forgot that zombies are not that slow. I mean, they are slow, but they're not so slow that they're going to make a speed 15 monster not speed 10 anymore. And I thought if that went badly, I would just walk backwards and, you know, have plenty of time to gain hit points back, or rather just like use this nice little area to stair dance around, or column dance around him, but There's an ogre here anyway, so that would have been bad. Nice. So anyway, that was a great example of things going very bad very quickly, potentially. In theory, it was not super likely that we would die that turn, like I said, because he was probably around speed 12. So it's kind of like being next to an adder. He's not guaranteed to get two attacks on you. You know, if I look up adder, they're only speed 13. It was actually probably closer to being next to like a ball python. Speed. I think he's speed 12. I should figure out how to look that up. Slightly slower. I wonder how much slower they are. I wonder if I can look that up. Ah, -2 speed. Okay, so it is 13. So they have the same speed as an adder. So he very well could have gotten 2 attacks. We were likely to block at least the first one, but that doesn't mean that I wanted to roll the dice, because 16 plus 16 is definitely my death when I'm at 22. When I'm at 22 hit points. Oh, that's why he said Wyvern Zombie. Ah, okay. I thought you were just being pedantic, my bad, buddy. Yeah, so speed 13. That's a pretty decent chance of him getting 2 attacks, actually. Anyway, mistakes were made. The proper answer to that, by the way, was to probably Fulm Prism in front of him. Maybe even preemptively net if things started to go badly. Okay, notice how Fulminate Prism is already at 12%. It's great. Just with a little bit of shield straining. Yeah, fair enough, JF Karen. This Bullfrog is faster than us, but he's also quite weak, so I'm happy to just wreck his ass. By the way, I can drop some stuff. Let's drop the Scythe. I'll drop the War Axe. I'll drop the Dagger of Freezing. Drop the Rapier of Speed. I think I'm pretty happy with this dagger. I mean, I guess I'll grab the Rapier of Speed. We may end up, if for some reason we have to melee something that's, I don't know, undead, then, you know. First chop. Wow, hello. Hey, buddy. Look at what we found. We found Hat of the Bear Spirit. That's really good on this character. While we will eventually be immune to confusion due to Ashenzari, that MR++ is still going to be really quite nice because it's going to keep us from getting paralyzed from certain things. So, yeah, we're going to curse that thing instantly as soon as we can afford it, and we're going to put that on my little Octopode head, because while I'm not allowed to wear a helmet, I am allowed to wear a hat. And the spirit effect on it will make me have more hit points effectively, because every time I get hit, it'll take some mana instead of some of the hit points. And then, of course, more negative resistance is nice to have, and the plus rage is not really particularly useful for me, but... yeah, I mean, the Spirit Shield is... I would actually say it's good for casters. The time when I think Spirit Shield is bad is when you have a spell or a god ability that costs mana and is also like a panic button. So I hate using Spirit Shield if I'm, for example, using Rue, because Rue, his Apocalypse costs like 8 mana to do. So you're in a horrible situation, right? Man, I want to get out of this situation. I'm dying. Oh god. Oops, I've already taken a ton of damage, and I have no mana now because of my Spirit Shield, you see. Oh, here's a perfect example of where I can take off my Ring of Fire, and now I have RC Plus and RF Minus. And this fella does up to 15 extra cold damage, and I'm not worried about that at all. We'll just swing on him. For some reason we didn't constrict him, but that means I'm taking half damage from the cold portion of his attacks. So, really quite good. Boom, baby. See how quickly Orc packs go down to Fulminate Prism? It's pretty great. Fear his tentaclaws. Well, I'm not quite there yet. I need the gold. Alright, here's Crazy Youth. We really don't want to open this door, because if he whacks us with that Quarterstaff of Chaos, he could paralyze us and then beat us to death, or he could send us straight to the Abyss, which would almost certainly result in a death. It is nice when he has a useful cloak, although we can't wear cloaks because we are an Octopode. You know, It's generally not a good idea to do Eve. Something we could do if we were feeling particularly frisky is I could open the door, I could chuck a net on him. It would probably hit him, and then we could just like beat him to death with at range with magic. But there's no real reward for me doing that other than his quarterstaff, which I don't want, because I have a perfectly good dagger, and even if I didn't, I'd be not so inclined to use chaos since it can do things like berserk your enemies. So we're going to let Sleeping Youths lie, and he can have fun in his little house forever. Hopefully I can afford this hat soon. Exploring the next floor. Whoa, hold up. Hold up. Maggie the Vainglorious. What the what? Hello, you're old and new. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. So you're not going to let me look up Maggie because this is some trunk bullshit. It's a new enemy. This is Bolt of Fire. The new Maggie. This is pretty much it's Mesmerize, huh? Obnoxiously, I would be immune to this if I had more Ashenzari piety. Choice as a light dragon scale. Lie down and accept your fate. No. So there's a couple choices I could make here. Let's think about this. This is actually really bad. I wish I hadn't run into her. If I were to move to the staircase and she decided to mesmerize me, that would be super bad, right? Because then I couldn't walk away from her. That's how that works. The bolt, I sure wish I knew how many hit dice she had, but I can't look it up. I am going to assume that she is essentially, this is basically Herald. So we're going to look this up using the percentage sign, which is like old version lookups. We're going to assume he can do, or she can do, let's say she has 9 hit dice. That makes sense. So we're going to assume that this lady can do 3d17 damage to me. So let's say 51. She has Steam Dragon Scales, which I don't care about because, well, I can't wear them. There's a +2 War Axe of Flaming, which would be quite nice if I wanted to kill Hydras with that, but I don't. Former Hell Knight Apprentice. Okay. So, if I go into map mode, obviously I can see her from here by placing an exclusion. I can see that. If I go here, I can see that she's in the red. If I place an exclusion on the staircase, if I go to the staircase, she could mesmerize me. If I'm mesmerized, I couldn't go upstairs. That would suck. I could go to the left and she wouldn't be able to see me, and that would buy me a little time. This seems like just a freaking ideal place to go ahead and use a fog. So she can't see me. I go over here. Now, I suppose I could have potentially saved that fog by taking a step right here, okay? I could have taken a step right here, and then I could have, if I had gotten mesmerized, I could have fogged. And the reason I didn't do that is because her bolt, assuming it can do 3d17 damage, that's 51 damage. That's almost my entire hit point pool. And while I could take that down by half by removing my Ring of Ice, it's just a really dangerous proposition. I don't get a lot of turn economy right now. Although I bought myself a few turns, the real problem is being trapped fighting this broad. I only have two telly scrolls, right? So it's a big issue. JF Karen's telling me to use Prism. If we look at her, she really doesn't have that much AC. That is a Steam Dragon skeleton. Actually, it's a Wyvern skeleton, who indeed is a huge risk because 16 damage and quite fast. I died to one of these on a streak once, actually. So yeah, there's a lot of fun crap near her, and just being the Mesmerize honestly scares me way more than the Bolt or her friends, because it just removes my options, you know? It means that I basically have to use the Telly Scroll. Let's go up. Let's go up. Let's use this 3-stack, which I just realized I had. That's Fear. That would have been nice to know about. That would have increased our options greatly. I hate the fact that I cannot look this chick up. I just kind of am going to assume she's got Harold's old stats, because he was the mid-dungeon dude with Bolt of Fire before, and instead of Mesmerize, he had Nets. So this is like a broad version of Harold, I guess. Come back once you have the bear hat and 8 more levels. Well, the thing is, like I said, the Mesmerize, at some point, we get Clarity, see, from Ashenzari. So if I had way more Piety, we would just, you know, dab all over her, right? Because she wouldn't be able to mesmerize me, but... And by the way, I don't think Fulminant Prism will stop. Like, I cannot block Mesmerize by putting something between me and her. I don't... I do think... I think that it's Smite targeted. I'm pretty sure. But I bet you this entry in the thing is not going to bother to tell me that, because God forbid the game nor LearnDB gives me actual useful information, right? I'm like 99% sure it's Smite targeted. You'll afford the hat before getting that much piety. I absolutely agree. Anyway, this is a floor skip, and the thing is that Lair doesn't even show up on D7, so I feel really good about skipping this floor. God, Mesmerize. Brutal. Okay, that's a dead end. How are we going to deal with this? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the Ring of Ice, and we'll just live with having RC-. We're very unlikely to run into a high ice damage thing that can do a lot to me at range. Okay, here's our friend. We'll go ahead and plop down the Prism, right? And that should do good damage to her on our way through. Step away, feel more experienced, good. Okay, we'll plop down another one. There she is. Okay. That didn't do any damage to her. That's just bad luck. Because she only has 1 AC, there's no good reason that wouldn't do a lot of damage to her. What is her MR like? I can see that. 1 pip of MR, so we can probably fear her. We're assuming she can do 51 fire damage, but we have RF plus now, so she could do about 25 fire damage to me. Wands, sadly, we only have Wand of Flame. So while she doesn't have RF plus, it's not about to do a whole lot of damage to her. Searing Ray would be more likely to be a move. We do have a Heal Wounds. We picked that up at some point. It would be nice if we knew what some of these potions were, but I'm just not willing to figure it out because it could be, you know, mutation. I could net her to keep her from coming closer to me. She probably hits, yeah, 10 plus War Axe. That's decently hard, I guess. I'm more fearful of the Bolt of Fire. I think we net her and then we start Searing Raying. I think that's what we do here. Sadly, she can still cast when she's in the net. Oh, failed. I am mesmerized. Then again, she's in the net. Good. Okay. I could Prism, but I think it's time to do this. She bolts me, does pretty good damage. That's okay. Prism. Or not Prism, Searing Ray. Hold fire again. Remember, we still have the heal wounds. Yeah, the prisms really robbed me, didn't they? Hit dice is 5. Oh, it's only 5? That's less damage than I thought. Thank you, my friend. So if I were to do like Herald HD 5. Okay, so it's 3d13 damage, 13, 26, 39 divided by 2. She can do about 20 damage to me. That's still quite a lot. I mean, that's a lot of damage. Get the ray. It doesn't kill her. So we've been robbed by these prisms. Maybe we won't get robbed this time. I'm going to Searing Ray her one more time. Now we're going to use the wand, and the explosion finally takes her ass down. Very good. I feel totally fine about the use of resources there. She was scary. Anything that can control your movement in the early game is incredibly scary. Could I have prismed and walked away? No, because I was mesmerized the whole time. Ordinarily, yes, but mesmerized stops me from moving away from her, which makes it a very dangerous effect, especially at this point in the game. I netted her basically so that the Searing Ray would be pretty much guaranteed to hit, and the Wands of Flame as well. In retrospect, I wonder if a better use of my time and mana would have been to keep Prisms up. I mean, it was pretty likely to do huge damage to her. The first two just... Essentially, I got bad lucked. Let's melee these dudes. But like anything in DCSS, if you can simply survive long enough, your luck will change. One of those open vaults. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. That's why we're leading it back to the staircase, which is almost always the right thing to do. But yeah, this is the entrance to a temple, which is guarded by a whole bunch of crap. Imagine if we hadn't found a halfway decent altar. I mean, not that we're getting a huge amount of benefit out of Ashenzari right now, but it is sort of interesting. You know. It is sort of interesting that there is a possibility that I could have been godlocked, you know, if I had a few less resources to deal with Maggie, and I just simply couldn't have made it into the temple. I did find Gozag last night. At the time, I didn't have very many rations, and now I have 10. As soon as I went, what I did was also, what's up, Donamo? Let's travel backwards in time. So we were here, and we had 1 ration, which means you probably shouldn't worship Gozag yet. So then I go upstairs, and I take down Grinder, because I had like 50 hit points, and I felt real good about doing that. And then we found this Ash Altar, and we still only had 1 ration, and Ashenzari lets me not deal with Ebering's Wild Ride, also known as Explore Traps, and so I decided that, you know, it's a nice guaranteed way to not get trapped, which is one of the most dangerous things in the game. It also will eventually, even though I'm an Octopode, so it kind of sucks, it's eventually going to give me magic skill. And I had already found a shield, and I don't think I talked about this, but because I already have a kite shield, or a regular shield, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to be able to very easily get shield skill once I get a little more piety. By the way, I stopped trading shields for the time being because I'm below 10% fail rate on the Prism, and I really wanted some more hit points, so we're taking fighting to 10. And I think we're actually going to take dodging to about 5 now. These are just nice round numbers that I like, and it's going to give me a little more EV, which is really nice to have. Ash is greater than Gozag. I would not say that. Oh, hey. We just found something good. Curare darts. I'm not going to... Oh, whoops. I'm not going to bother to actually train throwing, but I will take these darts. They'd be quite nice against Owen and Devessa, actually. Let's bail on this. Let's if we're going to fight these fellas... Oh, shit. What am I doing? I have not had my Ring of Ice on, so this guy was able to do like twice as much damage, or 1.5x as much damage, due to his Throw Frost. Oh, and Joseph? What a floor. They really filled this temple floor with enemies, unique enemies. He once threw a rage dart at Duvessa and she killed Doan. That's great. It's classic. Okay, so we would like to actually kill... We'd like to kill Doan first. Okay, we killed Doan. Now we want to get the Broad's attention. I assume nothing has changed in Trunk. Assuming it hasn't, there's a neat little trick you can do. So she gets all butt hurt. Look at me, I'm mad, you killed my brother, wah. I go up. I go down a different staircase. And she will eventually stop being mad and she'll never be mad again. Let's put a prism here, looks like we failed. Put a prism here, looks like we succeeded, and then he threw a sling bullet at me. I like the fact that I can tell how many bullets he has, because now I know that if I let him shoot 12 bullets, I can kind of run his ass out of ammo. Yeah, they're supposed to be brother and sister, although there are a lot of memes about them being boyfriend and girlfriend as well. Yeah, seriously? All you did was kill her brother? I mean, come on, just get over it. Yeah, I know, right? Alright, so we're just sort of using magic to block his sling bullets. We'll let him shoot at me. If he hits me, it actually does really good damage. 15 plus hunting sling, it's no joke. Oh god. That's more than I thought he could do. Let's drink a heal wounds. Let's go up. Okay. He could do over 13 damage, which is why I drank the heal wounds. It's a bit of a waste. I shouldn't have let him hit me more than once. Okay, let's go down. Let's put a prism here. Notice she's not getting pissed off again, so we can pretty much just waste her. Let's get her constricted. Let's put a prism down. Let's beat the hell out of her. Down she goes. Sure wish I hadn't wasted that heal wounds. Been sniped a couple times by Joseph. Yeah, he does really good damage. I was just underestimating him. We can look up how much damage he does. 15, right? Hunting sling. 15 base damage, 9 when firing bullets. So 15 plus 9 is 24, minus 2 because it's a weapon, so he can do up to 22 damage. So I had 23 hit points. Technically I could have gone off safely, but maybe not because he could have gotten 2 attacks, because if I go up, it takes 2.5 turns, and for I think 1.5 of that, you're actually on the lower floor, so they have a chance to hit twice. Even if they're only speed 10. Wanted to get his attention. Go up. He's trying to run his ass out of bullets. Hello. Quivering 1 sling bullet. Hell yeah. So now he can't hit me anymore. This is going to explode like this, so if I place a thing here, I know it will not explode and break this prism. You mean Gargoyle? Gargoyle Earth Elementalist? Yeah, I could do that. Okay, so again, we want to set these up in such a way that they don't blow each other up when they explode. But we do want to hit him. It's going to blow up this far, so if I just put it here... let's put it here, actually. Oh, throw a poison dart at him. Wow, what a big boss hog. Just not dying. He can do really good damage to me. Hound skeleton. Okay, good. He's finally constricted, but the anti-magic quarterstaff. Oh, that's annoying. 10 damage, 25. He could do quite a bit to me. Let's just walk away. Let's just go up. This is... yeah, see, he got random energy there and hit me even though I was... yep, not good. So I did the smart thing by leaving and going up. I got a little lucky there, actually, because he got bad random energy by not coming forward and attacking me. Is that a spam bot? Yeah, that sure is a spam bot. Thank you for alerting me to that. I didn't see it at first. Bubba Band. Exercising my amazing Janny powers. Yeah, D7 is cursed. Okay, so good. He's still kind of hurt. So the cool thing is he doesn't have his little bullets anymore. So I don't think that prism's going to hit him. Yeah, it will. Sweet. Okay, he's dead. It's a very nice quarterstaff, but it attacks very slowly, and I don't feel like training staves, so we're not going to bother with it. I am going to grab these Curari darts, which would have been very handy. They would have been very, very handy against him. hello. So again, ordinarily this staff sitting here, which is clearly identified as a staff of air, would not be identified, right? But we know straight away what it is. Also, this phantom blinks around and has like 1,000,000 hit points and is not going to let me prism him, probably. So we're just going to walk away from him. We will go ahead and fight the Ice Beast. We will remove the Ring of Fire. Pull him up to the safe area. And just melee him to death. Ouch. I guess I'll use Searing Ray. Okay. The Needle Dart change is new to this trunk, or 0.24. I think it's 0.24, yeah. Anyway, so we immediately know what the staff is. It's going to give us a bonus to air spells, but I don't care about that because I don't have any. More importantly, it's going to give me Auralek, which is a great thing to swap. See, there's a Cursed Ring of Teleportation here. If I was feeling insane, I could wear that to get more piety and more curse, but you know what? I don't feel like teleporting around and getting sent directly to enemies, so we're not going to do that. I have not heard of new types of zombies, but they very well may exist. Alright, we're just going to Searing Ray him to death. Now, going into the temple, I will not get piety for exploring that, so we're not even going to bother going in. We've already got a god, I just don't care. Nothing I really want on this floor. You may be wondering, like, why don't you take a War Axe of Flaming so you can kill Hydras in melee? Well, fighting a Hydra in melee with an Octopode is insane, and I would attack rather slowly. Hey, come on, college boy. Thank you, seriously. Thank you for the bits. I appreciate it, man. Always encouraging.
Tie 4, Stream Man.
You were not expecting that alert? Yeah, it's been a while, I guess, since I've gotten too many bits, so... Not complaining, it's just true. So, haven't seen that in a while. I might change those up. I've been thinking about it. Is that you busting out of your shirt? That is actually a video of me in real life, absolutely. Come on, college boy. So I would say that the new Searing Ray is less interesting but more powerful because you immediately get more damage. You also immediately get something you never got before, which is that it tracks the enemy. So if the enemy moves off the beaten path of where you originally fired it, it'll go straight to them unless you pressed a dot instead of enter. That is a nice axe. We don't know the bonus. That's the one thing Ashenzari won't tell you. And I don't think we know if this is cursed or not, actually. It doesn't say an uncursed. Better Auralek swap than Staff of Air. It is, because it gives RC plus as well. As long as I'm casting spells, it would behoove me to simply have this axe on all the time. Let's roll the risk of it being cursed. Holy shit! That is +9. Yeah, it should label curse. Wow. I would very, very rarely want to use an axe on an octopode like this. But it is tempting. I'm an axe guy now. Yeah, that is the meme, although this is supposed to be a caster tutorial. This would be pretty damn good motivation to train a bit of axes. It is only a war axe, so it's not exactly something you would really want to go into late game with, but it is a nice swap, so I'm not going to go wild with it. We could still swing on certain things, like, you know, this guy's not going to kill us if we... I mean, I'm attacking at 1.5 speed, and I really don't want to have to train axes, but, like, we could swing on him and kill him pretty easily. Hey, look, large shield. Not going to switch to the large shield for a good long while, because we have a cursed +2 regular shield. Oh, what am I doing? What am I doing? No! I walked right up to this necrophage. He's going to rot my ass. Okay, so place this here. Walk backwards, walk backwards. Let's just Searing Ray him. There we go. Maybe get the skill down to 1.0. We could. That's if we curse the War Axe, for sure we could do that. But then I'm foregoing certain things. Like if I were to curse the Staff of Air or any other staff, that's going to give me, I think, a spellcast boost. Whereas if I curse the axe, it's just going to give me axe skill. So, I don't know. It's kind of a moot point because like we don't have any remove curse anyway. So it's not a choice I get to make. But it's an option. You know, it'll get me certain benefits much faster than cursing jewelry will on account of the fact that I just have so many jewelry slots. Hey, baby, you are an orc warrior. You do lots of damage. 20 plus glaive. I think a glaive is what, 13? Maybe more? 15. Good old 30, 33 damage possible from this dude per hit. And they have good AC due to their armor. He's got plate armor on. Hey, what's up, Gary Burton? The run is going quite well. We could do this. Technically, I could put that there. We could see what it does. Okay, yeah, that's alright. Okay, just got him. Yeah, that's just crawl. It just does. If anything has a weapon, you add up its base max damage, and then you add up the base damage of the weapon, and then you subtract 2, and that's the maximum amount of damage that it can do. Don't ask me why that's the case, it just is. It's just how they set it up. Okay, we'll remove the Ring of Fire. Melee this thing. Put the Ring of Fire back on. Oh wait, hey! Ring of Pro-Fire. Alright. Actually, we'll wear the Pro-Fire and the Ring of Fire at the same time. Now we have RF Plus and RC Plus because of the fact that we have RC Plus from the War Axe. Things are looking up. Pretty good. Pretty good. Nothing I really care about on the ground here, so we'll just go down. Yeah, it's a weird choice, Gary. The reason I did it is because it was the first viable, really good thing that showed up. Even though it's a little weird on an Octopode, I didn't have enough rations to feel safe going Gozag, and I knew for a fact that this would protect me from Explore Traps, which is really strong. Ashenzari is also just pretty nice in general for casters. Less so for an Octopode, but, you know, it's fine. Am I eventually going to go for the large shield? Probably. I would be more inclined to go for whatever shield that I find that actually has some kind of resistance on it. But I may not find that, in which case I probably would go for a large shield. These are just more really easy orcs. Making a lot of noise here, so I'm kind of hugging the staircase a bit. Problem with Ashenzari on a caster is that there is no guarantee that you are going to find any books at all. I mean, it's pretty likely that you're not going to go the entire game without finding books, but it's not like Gozag where you can generally buy books. It's not like Vehumet where he'll give you spells directly, and it's not like Sifmuna where she'll just hand you books, you know. Boomerangs of Dispersal. Hey, buddy. I'll take those. Those let you blink enemies. Oka was the optimal choice for this. Well, I didn't find Oka, so until, you know. Oka might have been the optimal choice upon finding this War Axe, but you really don't want to be stuck using melee on an Octopode unless you have stat form, because you can never get guaranteed damage reduction otherwise, since you can't wear armor. Oh shit, I should probably... Probably not just chill out here. Anyway, I've been using basically the same tactics against all the enemies that we've seen. I'm just casting Fulminate Prism and I'm walking away, or I'm darting them if they're easy, or I'm using Searing Ray under some circumstances. You'll notice I haven't bothered to memorize Mystic Blast because I don't feel like I need it. In Trunk, it shoves people back. Not in Trunk, it just does a bunch of damage and has a very weird AoE. But I mean, Prism is just doing good stuff for me, and it lets me do more tactical things as well, because, like, check this guy out. He's got a Wand of Ice Blast. I really don't want him to use that on me. Okay, so we're just going to use this Prism, okay? Walk away. He can't even see me, so he can't waste those charges, nor can he do damage to me. You feel a bit more experienced. That means something died off screen due to something I did. That was him. So he didn't even have the chance to cast Ice Blast on me. I have all 6 charges for myself. If I didn't find any books for a while, you might eventually want IMB, JF Karen says. I think it tops out at higher damage than Prism. That's probably true, but the AoE is better on Prism. In fact, I don't even know if IMB... I'm not even sure if the current version of Mystic Blast has AoE. No, it says hit all nearby monsters with physical force. Okay. It says all nearby monsters. But who knows, maybe the description is wrong. Anyway, with regards to that, you may very well be right. We will test it out. If we don't find any good books, we will probably end up checking that out. Hey, here's one of your first big boy enemies you need to be super careful of. So you thought ogres did a lot of damage. 2-headed ogres will do 15, plus a giant club is 20, 35, plus another 20 for the base damage for their second attack, 55, plus another giant club, 75. Sometimes more if they have spiked clubs, or less if they have great maces. You're looking at about 75 damage. That's more hit points than I have, so we're never going to let him get into melee with me, and more importantly, perhaps, we're never even going to let him get here, because he could get random energy, walk up, and kill me. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to chuck a Curare at him, which will slow him. Okay. Prism, chuck another Curare, we have plenty, and the Prism should just take him down to next to death, and then the Searing Ray kills him. If I didn't have Prism there, you would have seen me, or sorry, if I didn't have a dart, the Curare darts there, you would have seen me use a couple of Prisms, and then if that had failed, I would have gone to a staircase, I would have gone up, would have come down a different staircase, and I would have essentially tried again at that point. Oh boy, we just auto-explored and took damn near to, I think, max damage. Check it out, I was at full hit points. We auto-explore, we get a single smite. What's 72 minus 56? That's... let's see. 60s. Yeah, that's max damage. Isn't that 17? 16, okay. So that's 1 point away from the absolute max damage that smite could have done. Let's drop a prism here and see if it explodes. Oh god, I'm taking a lot of damage. Let's walk away. Detonates feebly. No. Alright, let's stop screwing around. That was a little risky for me to do that. Thankfully, I cannot be smited anymore because he can't see me. I could even take big damage from this little baby orc next to me, to be honest. Flail plus 5-ish. In case it's not obvious, by the way, that is the entrance to Orc, which we are not going into yet. So this is a great example of an enemy that I do not want to swing on with this axe, because he could get multiple attacks on me, and he does 20 plus his mace. Hey, there we go. Hey, Natsume. Kept dying because of your own mistakes. Yeah, I mean, that's roguelikes for you. That's generally what kills you if the roguelike is well designed. There's not going to be, like, oops, I died to RNG. Sadly, I think that DCSS is falling for that particular trap more and more these days with its design. Alright, so we don't want to go into Orc, because we could get paralyzed in there and take a ton of damage very easily. Although we're going to have a good time in Orc later, because we know we're going to have MR available to us from this hat once we can afford it. In the meantime, we know that Lair has shown up on this floor as well. We also have 2 remove curses that we found. This is a good time to take stock of our items. You should always take stock of your potions and scrolls every time you finish a floor. Let's see, I still don't have Fear, I still don't have Blink. There are a lot of potions I'd like to have. I'm tempted to start identifying potions because once I find mutation, then I can quaff ID some of this stuff. Although I still would really like to have Blink. Actually, no, we do have Fear. We have Fear and Telly. The only remaining scroll that I care about is Blink, so... that I care about a lot is Blink. So let's identify potions instead. Brilliance. Brilliance has been nerfed all to hell. Instead of letting you cast spells that you otherwise wouldn't be able to cast by giving you a ton of wizardry, now it just gives you spell power, which I guess is nice, but it's not as powerful. And it also removes the hunger cost, which who gives a shit, you know? So they're an okay resource now, but they were way better before. Under the current circumstance, I suppose that they're more handy for me. But they gave a little spell power before too, you know, by giving you intelligence. Let's use this 2-stack. Enchant weapon. Okay. I don't really care about that. It gives you about the same amount of spell power as old Brilliance, less in the early game. We need to feed the devs a potion that removes hunger cost from the whole game. We need to feed the devs a potion that makes them decide to let smarter people manage this game. No offense. Also call it Brilliance. It would be brilliant to let some more capable people make the decisions, the development decisions for DCSS. Like, I'm sorry, but some of these people are just doing some wildly wrong things. Is that really how that works in NetHack Natsume? Anyway, we got 2 remove curse scrolls, so we may as well curse some stuff. So what do we have to curse? Like, we could go ahead and curse our weapon, I guess. I don't feel too great about cursing my weapon, even though it's an amazing weapon, because I don't really want to have to swing with this 4X. On the other hand, I do kind of need to curse something. But I could start getting on my way to cursing rings, you know? Like, I'm going to want that Amulet of Magic regen probably forever. Unless I find an artifact. This is one of the best amulets I could have, so I know at the very least I can go ahead and curse that. Okay, great. 2 cursed things. And if you look now, if you look at my piety and the fact that I have some more stuff cursed, I think both of those affect it. You'll notice that there is now an enhancement to my shields. It's 1.5 extra shield skill. That will become 5 extra shield skill at some point. I have another remove curse scroll, so I have a very interesting choice ahead of me. Do I curse another ring, or another piece of jewelry rather? Do I curse this axe, which I really don't even want to be swinging with against most enemies? Or do I do something else? I think I probably curse the axe. Maybe. No, I don't curse the axe, because what's the benefit I get from cursing the axe? It doesn't give me more shield skill. It would give me axe skill. I'm not even really swinging with the axe against anything that's not a joke. I'm not going to get shafted, so I don't need to worry about being in a horrible situation where I'm, like, needing to sustain through a lot of stuff and not spend mana. So instead, we're definitely going to curse a ring, because this, I think, will give me a little bit of skill. Not very much, but a little bit of skill to all my casting stuff. And yeah, of course we want to curse something, because that'll give us more piety gain, of course. But that's any item. You know, the more items cursed, the more piety gain. As far as which item, Wizardry seems like a good one. Although I think I'm less likely to take off Pro Fire. So we're going to do that. Wizardry I may take off at some point, you know. Pro Fire, there's like no chance of me taking it off unless I find some kind of artifact ring that gives me a ton of Pro Fire. You need 5 pieces of jewelry cursed to gain any benefit. Well, thank you for looking that up. You only need 2 pieces of jewelry cursed on a normal character. Should wear the RC +2. Yeah, I should. I just found that. Oh man, well hopefully we find more remove curse, but I feel good going in this direction because I'm that much closer to getting the benefit from the jewelry. With half or fewer cursed, it doesn't matter how many you have cursed. Yeah, that is a shame. That is a real shame, I have to say. Also, because this character is just so weak, we are going to go ahead and burn our enchant armors on the shield that we have. I know it doesn't have a resistance on it, but the thing is, this is the only thing we'll be using enchant armors on for the entire game, outside of another shield. So if we find a better shield, we are very likely to be able to max enchant that too. It's not like I need enchant armors for body armor. Okay, so like I said, we're not identifying these potions by drinking them because they could be mutation. With that said, I still feel pretty good about my resources. I have Ice Blast now, so I would like to hardcore train evocations up really, really, really high. I'd also like to take shields to 10. There we go. Fighting to 10 for the hit points. Dodging's already 5. I've gained a few points of EV off that. Yeah, this looks pretty good. And we're pretty close to getting the hat. So as usual, I will go into the lair as soon as I find it. I probably wouldn't have even explored this floor entirely if I didn't have Ashenzari. The reason I go into the lair immediately is because every step I take into the black, into the unknown area of the map, is a chance for me to get shafted or teleported. Not the case this game because of Ashenzari, but typically that's true. That chance actually goes up once you hit D10, so it's especially bad if you get a late lair. Because when you go deep into the dungeon, really bullshit enemies start to spawn, such as wizards, who can paralyze you, and you probably don't have the MR to be immune to those yet. There's even vaults that you can get dumped into where there's like 3 wizards just standing around like salivating for their chance to, rip your asshole apart. So basically, you don't want to be in the dungeon for any longer than you have to be, because once you go into the lair, here I am. I know exactly the kind of enemies I'm going to have to deal with here. Barring very rare uniques that may show up and cause me to have a headache, like I know that the regular spawns of the Lair of the Beasts are not going to be total bullshit. There's not going to be an MR threat in here. It's just not going to happen. Outside of, like I said, certain, like Rupert, I guess, could show up. But that's like a one-time only deal, Instead, the threats are going to be things like these wolves who attack really fast and do a lot of damage. Basilisk, sure, but the thing with Basilisk is, like, that's not instant death. You see that coming, even if you start to get hit immediately with the petrification. You can teleport, you could maybe drink a cancellation if you've got one. There's stuff you could do. Alright, let's prism right here. Let's prism right here. This is a great place to Searing Ray now. Boom. Boom. Now this is a little odd, actually, for me to use that spell here, because I've made a lot of noise. I shouldn't have done that, actually. I should have relied on Searing Ray. We made, red level noise, and all we have is a little staircase back to the dungeon. So I may have just created a bit of a problem for myself. What if we heard a bellow and 2 howls? Loud, deep croak, angry hiss. A lot of really nasty stuff coming. NG Matt, I don't think that wizards are bullshit in the general case once you have enough MR to be immune to their stuff, but I do think that it is deeply unfair. I think that MR threats are a deeply unfair, deeply unfun challenge at the point of the game where you're essentially rolling the dice on whether you're going to die or not if you stay in combat with them at any given time, because you could auto-explore into one, turn a corner, get paralyzed, and then they just proceed to tear you open. 3-axis spiny frog and some kind of snake. Possible. The bellow could be a lot of different stuff. Could be a cataplepus. Okay, I'm actually going to rest here and we'll see what shows up. There's an electric eel. I'm not even a little bit afraid of him like I normally would be, because guess what? We have our Elec, so he's not going to do much to me. That's a luxury at this stage of the game. Oh, you were talking about Basilisk. No, I don't think Basilisks are bullshit at all. Those are an extremely fair monster. I would say that, yeah, I mean, by the time you hit Lair, you're at a minimum, you're going to have teleport. You're going to have resources that let you deal with Basilisks, and the fact that you can take actions after you start being petrified is the biggest difference I would have to be able to pinpoint between that and paralysis, which is honestly kind of a nonsense mechanic in general. Dream Sheep or PS? Kind of. Kind of. The thing about Dream Sheep is, like, You know, I'm just searing raying this stuff, by the way. Let's go back in this hallway now. Hey, we meleeed him. The thing about Dream Sheep is there's like a 1 in 29 chance of them actually putting you to sleep if there's only one of them. So if you're properly controlling the fight, you really shouldn't be slept. Personally, I would be fine with making it a 0% chance, you know? No joke. Just straight up, like you do the right thing, you set it up, and you only have one Dream Sheep in the fight, they can't put you to sleep. Sadly, that's not the case. Okay, this is really horrible, actually, with this Mamba being here. Let's put 2 prisms. This should deal with this, but it's actually incredibly dangerous because this Mamba could really ruin my day. We do have Ice Blast, but we're in a hallway. Yeah, this is one of the most powerful enemies. It's one of the most powerful enemies in the lair, and if he gets next to me, I'm not... Well, no, we have fear. We're pretty good, actually. Let's just start searing raying, actually. Boom. Boom. Okay, good. Yeah, because I had fear, I was less afraid of that than I would have maybe otherwise been. The thing is, Mambas can do 20 damage, and they can do it several times. So, like, they can attack twice per round pretty easily because they're so fast, so... If I didn't have fear, I might have actually started a preemptive teleport right then and there, just in case my prism screwed me over. So check this out, like, while we're making an enormous amount of noise with these prisms, like, we're really able to clear out just way more things than we have any reasonable right to be allowed to do at the same time. I mean, like, these are top tier lair threats. I mean, you've got stuff like the Spiny Frog, you've got another Mambo, which is terrifying. Stuff that by all rights I should not be just like casually blowing away, you know. But I'm not really that fearful because I pretty much know for a fact this frog is gonna die to the next prism. This Mamba, maybe not. Oh man, maybe I should have brillianced, hee. Let me think about this. Does Searing Ray act like an actual bolt? Because bolts will reduce in range for every single thing that they hit. But this doesn't say that. So I think if I cast Searing Ray here, it will blast through all of these guys and possibly hit the Mamba. Let's find out. Boom. Okay, that is indeed... Wait, can I find it? Blast of Energy is the prism going off. I'm not seeing this... Okay, the Searing Ray hits the Yak, the Searing Ray hits the Yak. Maybe it is reduced in range, and the tooltip just doesn't tell me because DCSS is great. Because it doesn't say that it missed the Mamba, nor does it say that it hit him, so I guess that it will simply lie to you. Yeah, Raga, Ice Blast is definitely the correct thing to do here, by the way. I was just trying to figure out if Searing Ray acts like a bolt or not. I guess it doesn't, or I guess it does. Okay, good. So he moved so quickly that he got within range of the other prism, and then the Ice Blast kind of helped get him ready to die to it, and then he died to it. Pretty good stuff. So let's say we didn't have that beautiful AoE, because honestly that was a showboating fight, you know? That was not a fight that I would say demonstrates really amazing tactics. I mean, it does display good tactics, taking out large groups of things at the same time, don't get me wrong. It was basically the correct way to handle the situation, because I had already made so much noise near the staircase. But if I was playing well and truly optimally, we probably would have used no prisms at all, because I don't have anywhere to run to, really. I could have stood the risk of locking off the staircase, having to teleport or something, because it just gets surrounded by too many things. Instead, we might have carefully dragged one or two enemies away and then like searing raid them one at a time, to kill them. And that's where something like memorizing Mystic Blast might come in handy. In fact, let's go ahead and learn that. Although I bet it makes a lot of noise too. Let's see. You miscast. Uh-oh. You erupt in a blast of force. That doesn't make that much noise. This is so weird. Okay, so it's like... Alright. So it's all the problems of the old Force Lance spell, because I'm sure that it can... I bet you that it can miss. I don't see it missing yet. It's not really doing that much damage. Granted, I haven't trained any translocations. Yeah, it did miss there, so it can miss. I'm not real impressed with it yet. Let me put it that way. But maybe if I was surrounded by stuff, it could be worth it. I don't know. Let's check it out here. Okay. That was alright, I guess. Ouch. Okay, let's go up. Let's rest. Pushes back a minimum of 2 tiles instead of 1 like the old Force Lance. I guess that's better. Oh, yeah. Abaturno said he hates the fact that wizards can banish quite early if some unlucky vault pops up. There are some really stupid vaults in the game that make you fight things like wizards way earlier than you have any business fighting them. Like there's one vault that spawns like 3 different orc sorcerers. Okay, there's all these wolves. We're taking them upstairs 2 at a time. Okay, so check it out. I'm going to go up and to the left, and this will explode and sadly not kill either of these. So we'll go into hallway, and then we'll Searing Ray to kill both. Sick. I should probably wear my... Well, wait a minute. We already have RC++, so it's fine. So this is a little dangerous, what I'm doing. Stair dancing this. You know, it's not like I have AC. So... we could eat some really unfortunate wolf damage here. But it's not super likely, because we do have the shield. Yeah, still kind of mediocre. I would say that's pretty accurate. Something I like to do, by the way, if you press equals and then S, you can change the letter that your spells are on. Anything that just kind of activates without any kind of targeter, I like to put on a capital letter. And the trunk version of Mystic Blast absolutely just kind of activates if there's enemies around you. So, we'll do that. Same is actually true of Dazzle Flash. I love the fact that I know I'm not going to get shafted. Alright, this is one of the most dangerous enemies for a caster, or really any character in Lair. They do a solid 20 damage. They are fast, so they can actually do that more than once. Although if they hit you, they will blink, so it's not super likely for them to do a ton of damage to you twice. It's still pretty spooky. I'm going to put a prism here. I am going to put a prism here. I have fear, so I'm not too afraid of them. I can make them run away from me. I think what we're going to do now is we're going to Searing Ray to hit all this stuff. They have really good evasion is the thing. So Fulminant Prism is a great tool against them, even though they blink around and it's kind of annoying to hit them. It will always hit them if it explodes in their vicinity, you know. So it bypasses their big boy evasion 4 pips. That's even more than a natter. So it's just a matter of catching them, which you eventually will. Nice. But we're out of mana now, so what do? We could melee, which would be really bad because we would be slowed while we do it, although we could melee with the dagger, which would be okay, since we wouldn't be attacking at 1.5 speed. Still a lot of damage that we could potentially be eating. I think this is worth using a Charge of Ice Blast. Alright, now we'll switch to the dagger. And we'll try to melee this dude. Yeah, there we go. Not bad. Underestimating the damage they do. Yep, a lot of people do that. Back up a bit. Remember, don't forget, I have an amulet of MP regen, so it's actually completely legitimate, even more than it normally would be, for me to back up, just back up while gaining mana, like a point of mana every single turn. I'm going to enchant this Dagger of Draining. I'm unlikely to find another weapon, ordinary weapon, that I want to, you know, spend enchant weapons on, but I definitely want to keep using this dagger in situations like that one, where I'm out of mana and I just need to do like a little bit more damage, you know? Prism. Prism again, step back, boom. Not bad. You have your RC files set up to tab, so tabbing throws stuff that works on them. Yeah, that'll work okay. You gotta watch out though, because they do have that big evasion, you know. Alrighty, a Scroll of Identify and the Book of Misfortune. This is an interesting book. So we found Confusing Touch, which I'm definitely not going to use. This version of the spell in Trunk is horrible, if you ask me. Basically, Confuse doesn't exist anymore. As far as the ranged spell, so now you have to go up to, you have to cast this, then you have to go up to things, then you have to hit them, but unlike the old Confusing Touch, this one is actually based on magic resistance. So, they've somehow managed, I didn't think it was possible, but they've made the Enchanter class, into something I want to play even less than I did before. It's probably usable still, but I'm not gonna. If they had kept it level 1, it would be okay. Yeah, maybe. Gel's Gravitas, notorious for being one of the worst spells in the game. Basically sucks things towards a particular point and it can do a little bit of damage. Petrify is quite nice. We might learn that and be a little stabby guy, although we have no transmutations on Earth, so it would be some time. I always like to move my caster characters towards learning transmutations in Earth, because one of the best spells in the game is Stat Form. And that's going to be your most straightforward path to victory if you want to learn to play a caster, is to effectively turn your caster into a puncher man, essentially. Because when you're in Stat Form, your actions are slower, which sucks, but you have a ton of defenses. You have a ton of AC, you have a ton of guaranteed damage reduction, and if you're using unarmed combat, you're slapping people around with the strength of a, you know, a stone statue, which is quite nice. Other things in this Book of Misfortune, Metabolic Inglaciation, that's able to slow things that are not resistant to cold. We're not going to bother with that, even though we have some hexes already. And Yara's Violent Unraveling, which can take away buffs and debuffs from enemies, damage them as a result, and also reduce their AC, among other things, by mutating them. Not super interested in this book outside of Petrify. Petrify is interesting, though. That is a path. That is an interesting path, especially since we already have a pretty decent dagger. Maybe we can play around with potions of stabbing more, not that we need to. It'll be okay. We may go down that path. I like that it leads me directly into Stat Form if we were to find Stat Form. I can't assume, though. I can't assume that I'm going to find Stat Form. It's pretty likely, you know, like if you're trying to get a spell and it's in a goodly number of books, especially a spell like Stat Form, where there are some special cases where it'll always show up if a certain unique shows up, a unique enemy called Roxanne. You know, there are situations where it's more likely than not to find a spell, and I would say that Stat Form is more likely than a lot of other spells in the game to show up. With that said, you should never assume you're going to find a particular spell, because there's no way to make that happen unless you are playing under Sif Muna, where you will eventually, if you play for long enough, you will get all the spells in the game. But you can't assume you're going to get those spells in a timely manner, even with Sif, you know? That's true, you do not have to put on the red light, Con Badger. So anyway, we have an Identify Scroll. Let's use it on this 5 stack of potions. We have 5 Might Potions. I was actually really hoping to identify Mutation, so that I could start Quaff IDing without being afraid of the results, but that's okay. That's okay, I'm cool with this. I'm actually going to use this 5 stack of Ruby Potions. And the reason for that is if I had a 5 stack of mutation, I have 4 more potions to fix my mutation foibles. So I probably should have done the same thing with the 5 stack of might, but that's okay. Turns out we have a 5, well, now a 4 stack of lignification. I'm just going to shout at this dude. Being in tree form is really nice at this part of the game. My AC becomes 25, my evasion becomes basically nothing. It's just really nice. Hello, Mr. Crocodile. Searing Ray him to death. It's our first time on this floor, so we really don't want to make too much noise if possible, so I'm not going to prism. I'm going to try to play right. Training nothing but evocations right now. It's a little bit too much at this point because we don't have too many charges left and we're not guaranteed to find more wands anytime soon. So let's just get that to a nice round number of 8 and then leave it alone. And then let's train dodging to 10. Notice how I'm training things up that are low. You know, it's going to cost me, with my nice flat octopode aptitudes, they're all basically the same, it's going to cost me less than half as much to train some dodging than it is to train more fighting right now. 13 cost, 6 cost. So I should get a few points of EV off this. Let's just see how much EV we gain. I'm going to go from 5 dodging to 10 dodging. We'll also take evokes to 8. I'm using the skill target setter, so the equals key on the screen to do this stuff. And we'll just see, you know, I'm at EV 14 now. We'll see where that takes me. Yeah, I guess that's true, JFK, although you probably have more guaranteed damage reduction in tree form. This is bad. I will make a bit of noise now. Okay, the ray will kill this stuff, hopefully. Alright, now I can see this plant getting damaged. There's crap in that vault. Let's not see what it is. Let's go back to the staircase and rest. And now we're totally healed. We come back. Now these fellas, they cannot blast through these plants, right? Whatever's in here busted out through this hole. It's a very early War Axe, +9 War Axe for sure. We're not really gonna... We're trying to play a caster, and even if I wasn't trying to play a caster, I don't think I would train axes for this thing, as nice as it is. On account of the fact that this is an octopode, we really don't want to be swinging in melee. We're very, very fragile. Unless I had stat form or something, and even then I would probably want to be using unarmed combat, you know. But it is pretty amazing. We'll use it basically as a stat stick for the resistances. The Aralek is something I'm more excited about than the fact that it's +9. But yeah, this is really early. We've only just gotten to the lair. Anyway, this vault is usually a pretty obnoxious use of resources to have to, you know, you want the fat loot inside of it, right? In fact, this time we got a unarmed combat manual, which is pretty goddamn sick for this character. But it's like, how are you going to beat all these Oclobs, which can do something like 41 damage per turn to you if you don't have our corrosion? Well, this character gets to completely dab on it because I can just cheese the hell out of it like this. You know, they can't do anything at all to stop me from doing this. Although there is a yak coming. I'll just melee him. Kill some of those. Get more intelligence. Okay, vault successfully dabbed on. That's the real power of Prism. Ring of Stealth, no reason not to wear it. Yeah, they are not smart enough to shoot through plants for whatever reason. I actually am at a loss as to why they won't do that. They're smart enough not to hurt their friend plants. Ah, yeah. Maybe. But even if they could, what we could possibly do is like pop a prism and then just walk away and let it go off and then come back in and walk away, unless they became smart enough to attack the prism itself. Okay, check it out. Scroll of Identify. Use it on a potion. We have Berserk Rage. That's cool. I'm not going to read this 2-stack. I feel so good about this character and about his resources that I'd like to conserve what he's got. I don't feel like I need to identify stuff right the hell now, you know? Hey, here's our first Hydra. So, an uninitiated person in this game might think, well, you've got a flaming axe. You can cut off Hydra heads. Why don't you just walk up and slap him in the face? But the problem with that is, first of all, I haven't actually trained any axes, so I'm attacking rather slowly. So he gets, like, potentially 2 sets of attacks on me whenever I swing. But let's say that didn't happen. Let's say he still only gets 1 set of attacks. I attack him. I cut a head off. He has 7 heads. Now he attacks me. He hits me 7 times. He can do up to 7 times 18 damage to my octopode ass. That's more damage than I have hit points, I think. So, yeah, definitely. So it's just not worth it. I don't have the AC. If I had a lot of AC and maybe like, well, not as an octopode, but like plate armor for GDR or something, if I had like 25 AC and plate armor level GDR, I would feel pretty confident about being in melee with this dude for a turn or 2. But as it stands, I don't feel confident at all. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to just do this. Just going to let the prism do the damage for me, right? And if it works, fine. And if it doesn't, well, if it doesn't, I just take a staircase. But it did. Worked just fine. Hello, Catoblepus. You are a very tough enemy for this part of the game. Let's eat a ration, rest up. Still no more remove curses, unfortunately. Let's read identify. We're going to read all the identifies as soon as we find them, and we're going to use them on potions. We found degen, does absolutely nothing for us, so we drop it. Trying to find those mutation potions. Although, really, like I was saying, I'm so confident about this character and his abilities, his resources that are identified and stockpiled, that I probably wouldn't be quaff IDing things even if I did know what the mutation was. But I'm trying to find other things too, like I'm trying to find cancellation, which lets me turn off petrification if needs be. Okay, so this guy hits like a truck for 36 damage. He also blasts with his petrifying cloud, potentially turning me to stone if I'm foolish enough to remain in his, cloud for more than 1 turn. Looks like he forgot where I was. Oh, okay. The Catoblepus falls into a shaft. The shaft crumbles and collapses. I did not want that to happen. Now he's going to be on the next floor waiting for me. I wanted to fight him here where it was nice and safe. That was annoying. It's okay, though. Ooh, hey baby, Wand of Paralysis. Now it feels good that we trained all that evocations, doesn't it? And that'll be even higher once we get a little bit of get a little bit more curse on our jewelry, you know. Okay, here we are with the Basilisk. So we put a prism here. And for the moment, he was not able to petrify me, okay? Because when he was right here, and he's right next to this prism, it's such that he's got to be able to form a line to me. And if you're right next to this like that, if you're right here, you'd have to shoot through the prism, so he wasn't able to hex me. Unfortunately, now he is. I really want to not deal with this bullshit. So I could either put another prism in front of me, like right here, but it's immediately going to die because of this explosion. I could put one right here, but that's going to explode on me, which is kind of a problem. Or I could try to paralyze him at 69%. I think we're going to do that, which works. Really didn't want to get turned to stone, you know. Okay, another one of these dudes, just Searing Ray him. Usually he would have a pack near him, but sometimes you can do it like this, where it's like you just catch one of them, and for whatever reason the rest just don't come. Magic Dart is an okay tool against them, because it also, like the Prism, bypasses their evasion, and unlike the Prism, you're guaranteed to actually hit them, because they may blink away from the Prism. There's no getting away from Magic Dart, though. It's just not much damage. Alrighty, Book of Callings. That is the starter book for the Summoner. Suddenly we're looking like we have a nice little collection of stuff. Now, there is a horribly, horribly broken spell in this book, and it's called Summon Lightning Spire. Easily one of the best spells in the game, to the extent that I'm going to immediately memorize it, and I am going to immediately... I'm going to reduce my target on dodging from 10 to 9, so we'll get to that nice round number faster. We'll immediately start training summonings and air to about 5 each, because this is a summonings and air spell, and I will show you exactly why it's so good. Everything else in the book, it's not like it's terrible, it just doesn't hold a candle compared to Summon Lightning Spire. Like Ice Beasts, pretty damn strong. Pretty good power level. I wouldn't say they're broken. Guardian Golem sucks terribly, you should never use it. Call Canine Familiar is okay, they can see invisible unlike most summons, so that can be useful. Call Imp is more of an early game tool, and Summon Small Mammal is, again, more of an early game tool. But Lightning Spire is where the magic really happens, because unlike most summons, Lightning Spire, and I can't really show it off yet because, well, 56% success rate, but what it lets you do is, unlike most summons, you can just plop it down wherever you want, which is amazing, because most summons will just sort of show up somewhere near you, but because I can choose where the spire goes, I can use it the same way that I'm using Prism sometimes, which is to block hexes, or to block ranged attacks. It's guaranteed to block hexes. There's a very tiny chance that ranged attacks will go through it because it has some evasion, but it's very unlikely. So if you plop that between you and like a stone giant throwing big rocks at you, almost guaranteed you will not take damage from the next rock. I guess Perpetual Blur, I wouldn't fool with it, but oh, hey, buddy. Isn't that interesting? I just won't fool with him yet. Oh, dang. Okay, we'll put a prism here. We'll put Searing Ray. A lot of damage possible there, but we could have simply Ice Blasted him if things had gone poorly. Prism is 0 EV. Yeah, I was talking about Spire. Spire is 5 EV. So there's a Hornet here, a couple of them in fact. I need to be very careful of this because they can paralyze me. Getting paralyzed on this character would be just a miserable experience. Remember that being paralyzed removes all of your evasion, you know? So that's pretty much our only resistance, or our only defense outside of our shields, which also gets removed when you get paralyzed, so not a good time. By the way, we can see these outlines of things due to worshipping Ashenzari. And if I wanted to, I could use some piety, and no time at all, it wouldn't even take a turn, and I could use scrying to see everything within my would-be line of sight. You know, like, it would be like these walls were not there, and I could see exactly what's behind there. SH remains when you're paralyzed, is that true? SH gets removed when you get confused. I did know that. But I thought it also got removed when you, you know, paralyzed. Maybe not. Okay. Wand of Enslavement. So this is a really interesting layout. We got a little bit bamboozled here. But check it out. This is a great example of how I can cheese the hell out of this. I think if I put this here, it will explode just far enough to hit the Octopode plant. So if I just keep doing this until I see you feel more experienced. Feel a bit more experienced. Okay. He's gone. Alright, we've removed the roadblock. Unfortunately, I probably would have had to have come down another staircase if I wanted to deal with this floor if I didn't have Prism. I could simply open this door, but boy, that seems dangerous with those hornets around. Hey! Thank you. Thank you for the sub, my friend. Much appreciated. What are the rules?
What are the rules for this run?
There are none really. I'm just doing, this is part of the streak. This is actually game number 53 in the streak. So when I'm streaking, I typically just do the most optimal thing. I am doing, this is going to be part of, I'm going to do a write-up on this run and just on this character type in general. And I'm going to put it on dungeoncrawlstonesoup.com. And I'm going to link to this, this playlist. So basically, this is, oh boy. This is a tutorial. Okay, so these dudes can do 34 damage a pop, so he hits me twice and I'm dead. So we are going to walk away from him and gain a little bit of hit points back. Hopefully he doesn't get... random energy on me. I suppose we could try to Dazzle Flash, or we could even Mystic Blast him. Send him moving away. Let's try that. So that's bullshit. What's this about minimum distance, my bro? I see that it hit him, and he did not get knocked back, and in fact he did get an attack against me. I feel very ripped off. And now I'm starving, so I can't cast any more magic until I eat, which is a big problem. Optimal play stands next to Komodo. Yeah, it's not ideal. Let's... You know, Gamma Funk is going to have a hissy fit when he sees you putting things on the wiki. No, I'm putting it on my own website. I control dungeoncrawlstonesoup.com. I'm not going to bother with the wiki because it's honestly garbage, and there are so many guides on there that are just essentially some dude's random toilet paper thoughts, and I don't want to insult anybody, but you've got guides on there that are encouraging people to do things that are insane as far as win rate is concerned. And so I run Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup so that I can keep a repository of information that's like guaranteed to be good, you know, win rate type information. Anyway, I should have curaried this guy a long time ago, but now I stand the chance of getting killed if he double shots me. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to try to paralyze him. We're going to succeed. We're going to kill him. We're going to eat a ration. If that had failed, we might have had to have kited him like around this column for a really long time. What are you talking about, Perpetual Blur? You don't know what's going on? Guaranteed, so long as the devs don't fuck any more things up. Well, it's, the information is going to be valid for the version that I play on, for sure. This is a trunk run, so certain things in the run are going to obviously be subject to change, I guess, but for the most part, I don't think they really have the kind of work ethic required to change so many things that it invalidates all the advice, you know. Obviously certain things like Mystic Blast, the stuff that they've messed with already. Oh, the lack of minimum pushback? Well, it's called whoever programmed it doesn't know what they're doing. That's my assumption. Unfortunately, when things go into this game, and it sounds like I'm pretty harsh on the devs, but, you know, I have good reason to be. The reality is they just don't test their code. Some of them, anyway. Like, I've seen the most embarrassing bugs in this game. Like, somebody put stuff into the game and never even bothered to try it even once, you know? Stuff that was, like, bugs that were so obvious that there's, like, no way they could miss it. Oh, God. I was talking and playing at the same time, and I let myself get hit by one of my own fulminant prisms, and look how much damage I took. Oh, boy. Let's back off from this guy. Let's put a prism right here and fail. Let's pull this dude into a floor that's, like, empty so I know I can kite him around for as long as I please. Fun little use of these dispersal traps. The only good thing about them is that I could just go into them and eventually create space like so. Uh-oh, streak invalidated. Why is that? Because I hit myself with the prism? Or because I used the dispersal trap? I don't know, Bert. No, some of these guys make these sort of super pretentious statements like, there's this one dev on the team who is on record saying stuff like, only the highest quality code gets into DCSS, and then you have like this exact same dude putting stuff in that's the kind of thing I would expect from like a college freshman who just took their first computer science class, you know, which is fine. Just like don't pretend like this is like a highfalutin serious project when you don't bother to test your code. You know, I'll give you an example. The dude who did this put in, he did what I call NetHack Gnomes with Wands of Death. He put that into the game. And I call it that because what he did was he made it so monsters can use Cloud Wands and Ice Blast and a few other things in the early game, right? Well, in general, but also in the early game. And at that point in the game, they can basically one-shot you if they get the right cloud, or with Disintegrate, they can hit you at range with this thing that does pretty much your whole hit point total, which is quite bad, quite unfair. And so the funny thing about it was he obviously didn't bother to test it because in the beginning, until I pointed it out, I assume it's been fixed by now, I don't know, with Scattershot and Wand of Clouds, it was using this targeter code that would cause them to just like put clouds nowhere and put Scattershot nowhere. And it was just the most dumbass thing I'd ever seen, because if he had bothered to just use it, just like test each wand one time, just like one time in the early game, which is, you know, the most important part of the game if you ask me, and seeing that, you know, well, no, it goes on the map, but it's like they'll shoot it and it won't reach you because they think that they thought that the cloud went further than it actually did. He didn't change Disintegrate? I thought they didn't use Disintegrate before. Are you sure about that? I may be wrong about that one. Although, I would say that this has been a problem with DCSS for a while, but instead of making the problem better, he made it worse. And by that I mean, like, Acid Wands certainly existed. By the way, we're getting paralyzed, but that's fine. Petrified. I knew that there was enough time that I would get... these things would basically be right next to me when I came out of the stone, but they wouldn't be beating my ass. Let's Mystic Blast. This 17% fail rate is really ruining my life. I'll try it one more time. There we go. I do not like being surrounded by these guys. Prism. Searing Ray. Oh no. Prism again. Take a step away. I'll swing, and they explode, and one dies. That's good. Oh, man. But yeah, I mean, the funny thing about the lack of testing for clouds and Scattershot was that you had monsters where they would just use it. You know, even though you were nowhere near where they needed to be, where you needed to be for them to actually hit you. So you essentially had them, it's just, they brought back item destruction in a roundabout way because they didn't bother to test their code. Because it's like, alright, I'm just going to use this wand and use up all the charges, haha. When's the last time monster item usage created any remotely tactically interesting gameplay? Well, in the early game it can, but it's also like pants-shittingly fearful gameplay because it can just kill you instantly regardless of anything if you get unlucky enough. The fact that Acid Wand can do like 40-some damage to you on D3 is insane. The fact that centaurs act more quickly than your average player, not just with movement, but with actions, meaning they could shoot that thing twice at you if they spawn with one, doing something like 80 damage to you in a time when most characters have like 25 hit points, is absolutely insane. And this is what I'm talking about when I say the devs kind of have their heads up their asses in this game, because they don't seem to understand how unfun those situations really are, you know? Nothing like getting disintegrated immediately on sight. Exactly, and I'm not trying to make the argument that this is going to happen every single game, because it's not. It's not even going to happen once in 100 games, but I during this streak, which is 50, this is the 53rd game, I have encountered centaurs with acid wands at least 2, maybe 3 times. I have encountered enemies with acid wands in the early game, not just centaurs, but just other stuff that's less dangerous but still horribly dangerous, multiple times. Probably like, I don't know, at least 5, maybe 10. It happens enough that it's not good. and I got rescued by a combination of near perfect or perfect play and luck. But that doesn't mean that, you know, just because I survived, and you'll have this sort of charlatan-like defense of the system where you've got these really condescending devs, because I've seen this defense given by them in multiple places, where it's like someone will complain about this and they'll make this sort of snide, sneering, demeaning response that goes something like, well, you survived, it's fine. And it's just such a bullshit thing to say, because it's like, yeah, I got lucky, you know, but you should never survive in DCSS because of luck. If you survive in DCSS because of luck, it should be because you made a horrible mistake somewhere before that, you know? That to me is like the dream, the best roguelike, where it's like you are only dying because you, the player, have accountability for some kind of mistake you made. It should never be a situation where it's like I played as good as anybody could possibly play, and I still died because some dumbass thought it was a good idea for centaurs to be able to use acid wands or cloud wands or whatever. But that's just my soapbox. Let's check on this Lindworm. He does 3d18 damage with his fire breath, so that's like 54. But we have RF plus, and I could even take off Ring of Ice. So we have RF plus plus, so he's very unlikely to do a lot of damage to me. Put a little prism up, Searing Ray him. Just keep Searing Raying him. I eventually got frustrated and opened that door, which is okay. Put the Ring of Ice back on. Alrighty, we have a wasp. We have a wasp. It's time to deal with the wasp. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to put the prism up. Now these dudes are fast. They sting for up to 18 damage, so if this dude actually paralyzes me upon stinging me, I'm sitting there taking like 18 damage, maybe times 2 every turn. You know? Let's see what Flute Killer has to say about this. The real issue is they think that the extremely rare case of dying is essentially bullshit, is worth trading for the larger number of tactically interesting situations. But all it does is promote shitty gameplay to prevent you from not dying. Yeah, I mean, that's the comical thing about it, is they will talk until they're blue in the face about how they do all this stuff to take away tedious gameplay, and then they create situations like this that are horrifically tedious if you're trying to streak. And then they remove regen, a spell that nobody can... Right, exactly. Honestly, I'm convinced that they treat this game like... They pretend that they have a philosophy for developing it, but really it's just sort of whatever they feel like doing at any given time, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's their game, and if people want to put up with that garbage, that's fine, good. You know, if that's what they enjoy, fine. What I take issue with is the idea that there's this highfalutin philosophy behind everything, that there's a plan, that this is not just being ass-pulled by whatever dev feels like putting whatever dumb bullshit in the game, like stabbing potions. You know, it's like, some of this stuff is completely... contrary to the stated philosophy of their document, but it doesn't matter because it's just a piece of paper like a fundamentalist, you know, it's almost like a religion where they point to it and they're like, well, this justifies my actions. And even when it does the opposite of justify their actions, this justifies my actions, you know? It's the statement you can make. Well, just look at the piece of paper. We're good, you know? Just trust me. Trust the plan, you know? Oz Armor is a pretty silly spell. Some people like it, though. I would say that SLS is the biggest center. Either Lightning Spire or Vile Clutch are probably the biggest center right now in terms of just horribly overpowered spells for their level. Regen, I would not have counted that as something I was horribly afraid of being too strong or even too tedious. All right, so this is dangerous. I'm kind of talking and playing at the same time, and I shouldn't do that. Pretty strong chance that these prisms blow up and this thing just dies. But a strong chance is not the same thing as a guarantee. If I don't go up right now, there's a chance that I die. What I should have done instead of this is I should have immediately tried to paralyze him. Let's go up. Sadly, let's go up. And then we'll go back down here. Eat a ration real quick. Shout. Shout. Let it all out. Okay, now we see him at range. Paralyze. Paralyze actually got him. Good. Completely worth the resource because this is the kind of thing that can just end my run. Yep. Oh yeah, Ramparts. I haven't played with the new spell, Icy Frozen Ramparts, but the way it's been described to me, it's broken as hell. And maybe we'll find it. Maybe we'll find it this game and get a chance to dick around with it. It looks like it's just ice. Wow, single school. But yeah, my understanding is it just sort of does area of effect damage to everything around you all the time. And it's not even pure ice damage, it's like part physical. Seems good at level 3. Why do they add a spell that screams kiting spell in a reform that's supposed to be... Yeah, right, more positional, interesting gameplay. It's because it's nonsense. Like, never believe for a second the line of shit they try to feed you about their stated purpose for doing things. Because in this same update that's supposed to remove all the bolt spells, they took Vile Clutch, and their supposed nerf of it was to turn it into a bolt spell. So, I mean, it's just... If you just take it with a huge grain of salt, anything they say. Also, I didn't mean to close this door here. I just misclicked. Your life will suddenly make a lot more sense with regards to DCSS. Let's paralyze this guy. It actually works immediately. Very good. We'll go ahead and prism. Prism again. Searing Ray. Good. He's dead. They're dead. Awesome. Wild. Killed both hornets. This is our boy. This is the Catoblepus. And it didn't say a Catoblepus comes into view, so this is the same one that got shafted. It's cool with me. You know what? Let's put up a spire. So, you'll notice you can only have one spire at once. I have this thing gray now, not yellow, so I wasn't worried about miscasts. I put it wherever I want in a sort of 3x3 area around you, or 2x2, I guess. Well, technically it's 5x5, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I put it at the edge up here, and he's just gonna do what's essentially the equivalent of a lightning bolt every so often, which, mind you, is like a level 6 spell, I think. Level 5 spell. It's really good. We're going to be careful not to hit him with my own prisms, because that'll make him go hostile, I think. Sadly, I'm running out of mana here. So this fella is doing just buku damage to me. Hello. Let's go up. He's able to do this fairly good damage to me even at range, if I kind of fool around long enough. Yeah, I would say that Gamma Funk is not particularly good at balancing spells. He has a very strange idea of game balance. And unfortunately, it's very difficult to tell that individual that he's wrong about anything. It's well nigh impossible, actually, because any amount of pushback towards any of his ideas results in what I can only describe as like a high school sort of bullying situation. How dare you criticize something I made, you know? And it's something that me, as someone who has a difficult time in general navigating social situations, to me, it feels like a horrible minefield. Like I don't know if that's a product of immaturity or what, but I can't imagine your ordinary person would have an easy time with it either. But yeah, he is the source of BVC, and I guess he's the source of Ramparts, which is funny because it's kind of the same spell, only ice. Slightly different, I guess. I don't think he understands exactly how strong damage over time spells are, and just how much economy, like turn economy, you get out of it. Alright, JF Karen, hope you enjoyed the stream, man. Alright, check it out. We just killed a Steam Dragon, Steam Drake, I guess. Is that a dragon? I guess it's a dragon. I wasn't afraid of him, because if you have RF+, you have Steam Resistance, which means his Steam Breath does essentially nothing to you. But yeah, I mean, this idea of these spells that do multiple things at the same time, you got to be so careful with that in games like this. I mean, if you're telling me that Frozen Ramparts, let me see. So the problem with BVC is that it locks people down, like it makes them literally unable to move if it stays on them. It does damage over time. It's an area of effect. It does a lot of great shit at the same time. It looks like this spell is essentially the same thing, except instead of does it slow them down? Yeah, Frozen Shroud that impedes movement. I assume that's the Frozen effect, which does slow movement. So it's basically the same thing as BVC, except instead of stopping them in one place, it slows their movement, which is almost as good. Only this is even better because it's a level 3 spell and it's only one school. BVC at least is level 5 and 2 schools, so there's like some amount of resistance to you just dive bombing it, but wow, does that holy shit, that is in the starter book for the Ice Elementalist. That's insane. I'm gonna have to fool with that. That seems outrageous to me. I'll change Gale's Gravitas to basically be a dispersal trap that confuses foes. That seems very strong. That seems incredibly strong. That seems like the old Zom's chessboard piece. Being able to confuse things, I mean, it depends. If it's like an MR check, that'd probably be fine, I guess. If it just kind of happened, regardless of anything, or even if it was a hit dice check, that might be really, really, really powerful. One thing you're going to want to be careful of when using summons such as the Spire is that they will steal your experience, up to 50% of it. If they do all the damage, they take 50% of your experience. You just don't get it. If you do some of the damage, then the more damage you do, the ratio of that to the damage the summon does determines how much experience you get. Not a huge deal, but it definitely does add up. And in general, if you can win a fight without using summons, unless it's going to cost you resources to do that, you should probably win the fight without using summons. Damn, dude, why did you attack my prism? I really need to kill this Catoblepus. He's just going to be an annoying ass, basically. Oh, uh-oh. Uh-oh. So we don't want to go into hallways. We always want to have multiple directions to move when we're around one of these guys, because if he blasts my ass when I'm in a hallway, what's the result? Well, the result is that I have nowhere to go. Like, this would be bad if he blasted. If he had blasted right here, he couldn't do it. This is why I'm here. But if he had been in this position and then I moved here, he could have blasted me, and then I have nowhere to go really, except for in this death hole or closer to him. You know, couldn't go here because there would be the gas. Okay, I'm happy to lose experience versus this dude. Yeah, he didn't follow me. Okay, that's fine. That's good on me. That's good by me, rather, because I just want to kill this damn Komodo dragon. I want to take out essentially everything on the floor. Worry about the Catoblepus last. Hey, Phantom Mirror, that could be useful. Bad at explaining stuff. Are you talking about distraction rather than confusion? That's what that effect is called. Alright, how can we beat this dude? I don't want to have to use resources. By the way, we found a lightning rod a while back. I should have made more note of that. We could possibly make some use of that right now against him, actually. Okay, we'll put the prism here, so it'll blow up and it won't hit the spire, but it will hit him if he kind of remains on the same trajectory. Now we'll lightning rod through the spire. We'll do it again in the exact same thing. Yeah, I could do it like this and get more area of effect, but it would do less damage. Let's get more damage. And again, sadly, he is just going straight for me. Hey, thank you for the sub, Brandon B3. I hope you do not have the coronavirus. I hope it's the normal flu.
Thank you for streaming while I have influenza.
And no problem, man. Hope you enjoy. Alrighty, so we finally got rid of our nemesis, the Catoblepus. I'm not going to bother with the Octopode dart. I'm going to be honest, I don't even know what the hell that is. When thrown, it can deliver its toxins. Blah, blah, blah. Does it really... Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, wait, no, there it is. Alright, it actually does say. So Octopode is the blindness and confusion dart. I guess Datura is the rage dart. It makes me so mad. Like, it makes me so mad that they use these dumb names instead of just calling it a blindness dart and saving me the trouble of going to the... I mean, imagine forcing your player to go in here and read this just because you wanted to be fancy. I'll complain about that until the day I stop playing DCSS. It'll never stop. Tested positive for influenza. Okay, good. Well, not good that you have the flu, but good that it's not COVID. Okay, we're on layer 5. I'm more and more thankful for Ashenzari. I know I will not get shafted to layer 6. We have an identify. Let's use that on this potion. And hey, there's our potions of mutation. So if I wanted to, and I had multiple stacks of potions, I could start drinking them to identify them safely now. But I don't want to do that, and I don't even have multiple stacks anyway. What I would really like to find is some remove curse. Wait a minute. Wait a minute, baby. We've reached a milestone. Ba, ba, ba. Out of the bear spirit. Suddenly our MR is just incredible. Look at that, 2 pips, hell yeah. Probably close to 3 from our racial MR. More AC, not that going from 1 to 3 is that good, but every little bit helps. It's not bad. I don't know if cursing it will even do anything for us, because cursing a hat typically gives you, I think, armor skill, but having armor skill does literally nothing for this character, and can do nothing for this character as far as I know, because it's going to give you armor based on your base armor. Let's see, AC 0. Infinity! Infinity! Amazing. Hey Strider, thank you for the sub, man. Much appreciated. Man, I gotta stream more often. If I can get like, I'll be honest with you, if I could get like 3, I think I've gotten 3 subs today and 100 bits. If this could happen every single stream, I would stream every day, no question. Not to be greedy or anything, but that would definitely make it more worth my time. Not that I don't enjoy just hanging out, but it is it's a huge incentive. So thank you, I appreciate that. Let's just ray this thing. Let's push these things back. Push these things back again. It's just memeing on these guys at this point. I should just be prisming. Okay, polar bears can rage out, and he did before the prism killed him, so that's something you really want to be careful of. Perhaps I'm working with misinformation, but don't distraction and confusion share the same visual indicator? That is a great question. I think the answer is no. Let me see if I can... I know for a fact that you can check them, like you can hover over them. Like if I were to go over here, and it would say, like if he didn't know about me, even if it had the same visual indicator, it would say something like, hasn't noticed you yet, if he's distracted, or is not aware of you, or something like that. Whereas if it's confused, it'll straight up say, I'm confused. Let me see if I can just walk around here for a bit. Nope. I'll see if I want to show that off now. No, don't be mad. Okay. A wand of descent. Good find. Big pile of wolves. Uh-oh, I'm out of mana. I got a little wild and rambunctious here. Let's just disintegrate this. I shouldn't have stuck around in that fight as long as I did. Put a spire up to kill this wyvern. Wyvern beats my spire's ass. Let's just paralyze it. Using more resources than I really would need to. If I had played carefully, I wouldn't have had to have used those charges. Oh, it's very easy to confuse the two statuses if the icon's the same. I'm actually not sure. Yeah, okay. So, no, I think you might be right, Wesley, because it is a question mark, and I think it shows up in the exact same spot. And the exact phrase that it says is, hasn't noticed you. If I were to dazzle flash him... Oh, that gets bigger. Because he's blind, he still hasn't noticed me. I don't have a way to confuse people, unfortunately. Dazzle Flash used to confuse, I think. Oh, no, it always just blinded. Yeah, I don't have a way to confuse people. I could memorize confusing touch, I guess, to test it out, but I don't want to blow the... Don't want to blow the spell level, plus I don't even have it right now. Deep cleaning your room. Well, you know what Jordan Peterson says. No, it's good advice. Cleaning your room is always a good thing to do. It's definitely not a waste of time. Uh-oh. So this is dangerous because this Realm Drake could hit me with Flash Freeze and then it would slow my ass down. Let's hope that doesn't happen. It did not. We'll go upstairs. Obviously we did not want to be slow next to Hydra while we're trying to get upstairs. Also, we've left these Elefantes up here. The ray didn't work out so hot for us there. Let's put up a spire and let's just walk backwards. I guess it didn't want to zap me. Whoops. Notice how I'm getting a ton of mana back. It's pretty cool. These guys can push you backwards. They can also do 20 plus 5 damage, but I'm not too worried as long as I have them in a hallway like this, although I've done a very bad thing. I've done a very bad thing because I've walked myself into a corner. Didn't Dazzle Flash used to be a line? It was a cone, actually, Brandon. So it was like it was an okay AoE before. It was never a line, and it was called Dazzle Spray. Now it's called Dazzle Flash. There's no such thing as Dazzle Spray anymore, I guess. Anyway, what's the least resource-intensive way for me to get myself out of this dumb situation? I think I put a spire, or a prism here, because I knew the spire was about to die. And then... I don't want to swing with the axe. I cannot actually constrict these fellows. I could Dazzle Flash, I guess, and try to get stabs on them, but that's very unlikely to work because I don't have Short Blades training. I just kind of defaulted to training fighting, which I probably shouldn't have done. We need to think about where we're taking this character in the long term. Oh, at some point, yeah, we found the Book of Air. So we have Tornado, Deflect Missiles. That would be an okay direction to go. It's kind of a weird thing to dive bomb for, but Deflect Missiles is something I know I eventually want. It's a buff that makes it so ranged attacks are very, very unlikely to hit me. Yeah, this was a mistake. They have too many hit points for Prism to be able to guaranteed kill them quickly. Okay, we're going to use Lightning Rod. I'm going to switch to my dagger so I can have a little more fine control over my actions here. But until I actually start using it, let's Ice Blast. Okay, we killed one. I'll swing. Worst case scenario, I can Fear, I can Teleport, but I'm trying not to use those resources if possible. I could even Disintegrate here if I wanted to, but we're just going to... Alright, we're going to Teleport. 20 plus 5, 20 plus 5, so 50 damage possible. Pretty bad. Pretty bad, so let's Mystic Blast to send one of them further away. It actually dies, so that's fine. Attack, attack, and then we telly. That was a horrible waste of resources. I shouldn't have been in that situation, basically. And the other thing I could have done is I could have just, like, boom, see? Curari is really quite nice against these guys. Just wasn't paying attention to my resources. You'll find that the game generally gives you many ways to skin the cat, you know? Many methods to solve problems. And if you're finding yourself not knowing what to do, it's usually because you didn't take a close enough look at what was available to you. And this is definitely a great example of that. Sometimes you'll just be starved as hell for options, but this was not one of those times. You don't have shoals, so Deflect Missiles is not something you need to beeline. Yeah, that's a good point. Shoals would mean that I really want more ranged defense, although, to be fair, Deflect is great in general. It's especially nice in Elf. I mean, you know me, I just want stat form. It's so good. It's so good, and especially, you know, this dude found a manual of unarmed combat, so he really wants it. We found a Ring of Pro Magic. Let's put that on. We almost have all of our ring slots filled, and also we have 3 rings of Remove Curse. So let's get to cursing. I'm not going to curse the hat because I want more ring slots cursed. So what do we want to do? Start with Pro Cold. Again, we're unlikely to take off just a straight up Pro Cold ring. Still no benefits to our magic. Let's try again. Curse. We'll curse Pro Magic. That's unlikely to go off even with the hat. Stat form, what's that? Does it give stats? Haha. Still no benefit, because we only have 4 rings cursed. By now, if we had cursed 2 rings and an amulet, we would have the maximum number of benefits if we were a normal character, but this is an octopus, so... yep, that's correct, Brandon. Any ranged attack, really, as long as it's not smite targeted. If it's affected by evasion, pretty safe assumption that D-Missile will block it. Can block it. It's not guaranteed, it's just really likely. More importantly, it works against Thorn Hunters. That's a really great point, although so does my shield. Okay, one more curse. We'll curse... I don't really want to curse Ice or Fire, and I certainly don't want to curse Stealth. Wizardry, I guess I'm okay with. Finally, it says you are moderately bound, and more importantly, you are partially bound in jewelry. So I press this, and suddenly we see that for evocations, I'm getting almost 2 points. For conjurations, I'm getting 2 points. For anything that I have an appropriate amount of training in, I'm getting 2 points. I'm getting only 0.2 in the stuff I have no training in. So you have to train a little bit for it to actually take effect. Still pretty cool. I really think this guy wants to go in the Petrify direction just because it'll let me do really convenient things, and I can get it online so quickly with the help of Ashenzari. So why don't we do that? Why don't we just... Well, what we'll do is we'll keep training spellcasting to get spell levels, because then we'll be able to actually memorize Petrify, because we're suffering from a lack of spell levels right now. I could unlearn Mystic Blast. I really don't think I'm getting a lot out of it, but I have patience. We have 4 Amnesia Scrolls, you know, so that's an option, but meh. Alright, let's go down here. This is where we left the Hydra, but we have max range on him. Put the Prism, put the Spire, put another Prism. It's a little risky that I left my staircase, but virtually guaranteed that the Hydra was going to die right there. It's a lot of things doing damage to him at the same time. And remember, if I had made a minor mistake there, just a little one, I could have easily died. Just a single turn in melee with that Hydra. GG. Easily. Easily. Not guaranteed, but pretty likely that I'm going to come close to dying from a single round with a Hydra that has 8 heads. So, Octopodes are weak. Or I should say they're fragile, they're not weak. Alrighty, there's our Jivia altar. I'm not switching to Jivia. There's Sifmuna altar. Interesting for that to just show up in Lair. I guess it happens sometimes. Once you get to Lair 5, there's one more floor of Lair left. It only has 6 floors in Lair. Some characters, you would be well advised to skip Lair 6 and go right back to the dungeon, especially if you have a lot of MR, which we do. To be fair, we have the Hat of the Bear Spirit and a Ring of MR, so if I were to look up Wizards, we're looking at a 0% chance to get paralyzed, which is quite nice. So, I mean, we could go into dungeon and be not too afraid of it, especially since we can't be shafted due to Ashenzari. With that said, I also feel strong enough to do Lair 6, so I'm just going to do it. Yeah, that's correct, Wesley, but even if I have evasion, I assume it's going to fail every single time, because it's not guaranteed. Certainly that's not likely. I'll probably evade most, if not all of the attacks, or like some of the attacks anyway. Could have gotten shoved off that staircase there. No, most likely you're not going to die in a single turn. It's reasonably likely that you will take a lot of damage, though. I am exaggerating the situation slightly, but I'm kind of making a bit of a statement on the way that you should view the game in general, if you want to streak, because you need to assume that the worst case scenario will happen. Yeah, for sure. And that's one of the reasons I pay attention to the max damage more than I pay attention to anything else. Because that's what's actually going to happen if worst comes to worst. Okay, good. We did not get shoved off. I did get shoved there, which unfortunately puts him out of range of the prism. Oh, man. Put up a spire and let it do some work for me. I really do not like fighting elephants on characters like this. It's not like they're hard. It's just an annoying amount of hit points to chew through. If we had a Venom Dagger, I'd feel better about it, because we could just kind of deal with it. Alright, so this Hydra knew where I was down there, so I no longer feel safe about coming back down. And here's another Hydra. Put a spire here. He should shock right down the line. Put a spire here. And then we'll Searing Ray. That did not kill him. What a shame. Okay, how many heads? 7. He didn't die. If I Ice Blast, he'll virtually, yeah, guaranteed die. Technically, I took a big risk there being... I mean, I have the shield, I have the evasion. Very unlikely that he would kill me. But he definitely had the ability to kill me. But the Ice Blast was virtually guaranteed to do damage and kill him first. What I technically should have done there, though, is... I should have gone back upstairs as soon as he was right... whoops. Right here. To the south of where the Hippogriff was, so I could have safely made it up. These are very contested staircases. There's a lot of stuff around them. Yeah, for sure, Abaterno. I mean, if you don't care about dying once in a while, most of these concerns become a little superfluous, but, I mean, the point of the game is to win, right? Maybe, maybe you just want to play around, and there's nothing wrong with that. Play the game in the way that you enjoy the most, you know? But for me, I want to win, you know? Like, that's where I get my... I think Wesley and I were talking about this just earlier today, like, if you're the kind of person who really wants to dominate the game, you know, this is a game that requires... Yeah, the point of the game is to have fun. For me, fun means sort of drudgingly figuring out exactly how I can survive, dominate the meta. No, it's crack the meta, bro. But, you know, that may not be the case. Like, if you don't get enjoyment out of that, don't do it, you know? Oh, man. What do I want to do about this stuff? I would like to put down another prism. I can take so much damage, so I don't want to swing with this axe. Okay, good. He's dead. I have so much flame wand, we're just going to use that to kill this guy. There we go. Now, I'd like to use this staircase as my little fortress. Look at that elephant and all his hit points. If only we had something to do more damage. Petrify would be okay. Hey, look, we actually found ice form a while back, I just didn't notice. So we technically have something that we could do to transform. Not that I really want to do that. Ice form is a little fragile for my taste. Put down another prism. If we're lucky, we'll kill more of these dudes before they get next to me. Although I could just be Curarying them, you know? Boom. Boom. Nice little tool. How strong is Tornado? Tornado is really strong, but bear in mind that even though it is a level 9 spell, which is only one spell school, like sure, it's one spell school. So you'd think it's really easy to get to, right? But it's still level 9. So you're gonna have a hard time getting there. You can't just like beeline your way to it and expect that you're gonna get to it anytime soon, you know? Okay, cool. Spellcasting is 7. We can get Petrify now. I think that is the direction this character is gonna go. And we may very well train some short blades and curse a short blade and get skill off that really quickly. But what we'll do is we'll train Earth and we'll train Transmutations. Take those to 5. And Petrify is basically going to let us turn dudes to stone as long as they don't have very much MR. And it's going to let us then do enormous amounts of damage to them just by stabbing them. And while they're stone, they can't really do anything to defend themselves. It's pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. Pretty powerful. Even without axe training, I can kind of tear things apart with this axe, bearing in mind that everything can sort of hit me a couple times, so I gotta be careful. Found an Identify scroll, let's use it. I think at this point what I want more than anything is a cancellation potion, but I also want a blink scroll. So I'm going to do scrolls first because blink is such a useful tool. Sadly, we just found random uselessness, so we just drop that and move on. I really shouldn't be attacking this thing. Spiny Frog can still do quite a bit of damage to me. Hello, Four-Headed Hydra. So to do my usual thing, lay the sort of the minefield of prisms. I actually screwed that up. Uh-oh, I screwed up even worse than I thought. This guy's next to me now. Uh-oh, uh-oh. They're not more than speed 10, though. Okay, this is fine. So we just go up, no problem. Killed a single crocodile that followed us and go back down a different staircase. Most problems in this game can be solved really easily by just going down a staircase. cannot die here. Not in one turn. I probably shouldn't have stood toe-to-toe with that guy, but he's only 4 heads. I wasn't really worried. Let's put down a prism. 1, 2. 1, 2. In case you're wondering, it always takes 2 turns for the thing to explode. So that will allow you to sort of gauge how quickly, how much time you have to get away. Alright, Petrify, we already have that to 7%. Let's train that a little bit more. Let's take that to like 7, I guess, each. And I guess we'll take Short Blades to 5 just so we can get slightly better stabs, you know? Show off Petrify, he's resisting, says 59% chance, the game is lying to me. By the way, Prism does not count as a summon as far as stealing your experience goes, in case you're wondering why I'm using it so much after what I said earlier. Always struck me as a rather silly way to try to balance summons, by the way, to have them just rob you of experience. Oh god. Spire. Uh-oh! Big uh-ohs. 56% chance to paralyze, 73% chance to paralyze. Failed. This is what you might call an ambush. We didn't know this guy was here. So we're using resources to unscrew the situation. Now he's missing a lot, which is nice, but we are failing to paralyze him twice in a row, despite the 73% chance, which sucks. 3 times in a row, actually. But he keeps missing. As long as that keeps happening, I'm okay. And eventually we get him. And we stab him, and he dies. Fail to petrify, fail to petrify. Now he's petrifying. That little gray thing at the top says slowly petrifying if you hover over him. Let's put up a spire. I'm going to just get the stabs on this thing. We don't do very strong damage yet with our stabs, because we don't have very much in the way of short blade skill. You need short blades and stealth to get big damage stabs, if something is petrified. 27% chance to petrify this dude. And it worked. 27 is actually not bad. Statistically, that means 1 in 4, you know? Whoops, my spire got pissed off there and died. Big explosion. See if they shove me. Unfortunately, I bet they will. Yep, they sure did. Maybe I can Mystic Blast this dude back into the range. Hell yeah! What a combo. Shoved him backwards into the blast radius. I'll take that. Okay, let's chop down these plants. There's a little temple here. This is a vault that is basically the same every single time, not in terms of the loot that's in it, but in terms of where the loot is and which enemies show up. There will be elephants in here. Put a spire here, kind of stop these guys from surrounding me too badly, let the prisms do their work. The spire do its work. That's cool. Okay, not much to speak of over here. Over here, though, once I cut down this other plant, I'll walk through. Go in here. This will not have an enemy in it. I don't think it can anyway. Go in here. There'll be an item. Yeah, Uncursed Longsword of Electrocution. That would have been pretty cool earlier in the game, but at this point I just don't care that much. Let's enchant our Dagger of Draining a little more, by the way. I wanted to Amnesia Mystic Blast. Ah, yeah, good point. It's finally shown its worth. I mean, I don't like the spell because I go for reliable things, and it's not guaranteed that it's going to shove things back. And it's not even guaranteed that it's going to hit and do damage. So you've got this spell that potentially could do this really cool effect, but it's going to do it only some of the time. And for me, like, I'd rather, like, as long as I don't fail to cast Lightning Spire, I know a Spire is going to be in that spot. You know, that's reliable. That's as reliable as DCSS gets. Same for Prism. It's going to show up, and it's going to do some damage if it goes off. Petrify, like, sure, there's a chance that it won't get past the MR, but, I mean, I know for a fact that the effect is going to take effect, assuming it gets past the MR. But IMB has, like, 3 different ways to fail, so it's one of those spells that I would argue is not particularly worth it. Also, the positioning is a little strange. Like, it's unfortunate to have to be right next to somebody. I think the irony is that Ebering's positional magic branch, where he's messed with all these spells and made them more positional, what he's effectively done is he's created an entire class of spells that nobody is going to want to use. And I think that's like the ultimate way you can fail as a developer, is if you make this thing, if you make this thing that just everybody thinks is so dog shit and like so annoying to use that you just avoid it in favor of other things. You have 2 choices at that point as the dev. You can either admit you made a mistake and change the stuff that you put into the game, or you can double down and you can take everything else, you can make everything else worse, and you can just like force people to use what you made, which is kind of like the equivalent of a temper tantrum, and that's what I expect to happen. I expect everything that's not positional magic to slowly get nerfed as people just avoid using it. Nemelex, huh? Heart of the Cards? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Nemelex for the same reason, actually. I mean, he's a very fun god, but very dangerous as well. Not what I would say is a good streaking god. Surprising potential for turn count running, though, I think. Those cards are really, really strong, potentially. Alright, so there's always going to be an Anaconda in here. He's a really strong enemy. Really bad MR, though, so we'll just try to paralyze him or petrify him. And even with our crappy spell power from our relatively low training, we still get it immediately at 47%. And I'll just do a little damage to him. I'll back up, back up. Then I'll just start swinging. Whoa, that's surprising. Surprising that he didn't die there. Until way later. Alright, we'll close this door. Why did I close that door? Because in here, some of these little green elephant statues are going to become dire elephants, which is very dangerous for me. And Ashenzari is actually letting me see that there are, in fact, nasty sensed monsters, which is a very strong high hit dice relative to you monster. So what we would like to do is we'd like to read Telly, wait 1 turn, open this up. I did open up the door, I just teleported immediately. There were dire elephants in there and I wanted to let them out. Because there was water in the way, and I think even as an octopode I get slowed down going through water. I have to check that. Basically I just wanted to open the door and set them free. That's a dire elephant. They're just elephants that are bigger, more hit points, you know. It's my least favorite, Wesley says, my least favorite little gimmick vaults in the game, because it's basically never explained to your satisfaction. I think for the sake of argument, I argued with you about this once, but essentially I agree. Like, the green elephant statues are something you don't see anywhere else in the game. But even so, okay, I'm gonna drag this dude up if possible. That's true, Brandon. I did close that door, but that one doesn't have water next to it, so I could just go up and open that door later. How do we want to beat this dude? I want to put up a spire. These guys do way more damage. Up to 55 per turn, which is like half my hit points. So I think how I want to beat him, it's going to involve a lot of kiting, unfortunately. Can I, yeah, I can Curare him. He's not immune to poison, so Curare slows and poisons him. I could try to petrify him, but it's only a 7% chance. If I had way more spell power, it might be worth trying, but that chance is too low, really, for me to want to fool with. So instead, we'll just make a spire. We'll just make a prism. And he takes damage. You know, he dies eventually. See? See, he goes down. It's fine. And because they give so much experience, and because I know there's loot in that room that I opened up, it is in my best interest to take the time to do all this crap, you know, and it may not be if I was a less powerful character, but we have, as you can see, we've got the path, you know, the path is pretty clear as to how to kill these things. We just have to take the time to do it. There's going to be like, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them, maybe like 8. Hard to say. We have so many Curares, we can just re-up this thing, and when they're slow, I mean, this dude can't do anything to me. Just throw on a prism. That's annoying that he went that way, but that's okay. Okay, see, I open the door, and here's our fella. Spire. Curare. Don't need any throwing skill. Curare works just fine without it. 1, 2... Re-up the Curare, pressing dot here instead of enter so it only goes to the dire elephant and not forward towards my spire. We're going to try to Mystic Blast him. It hit him. He must have gotten moved back 1 tile, I guess, because he didn't attack. Either that or he's just slowed. Send him backwards again, and it hits him and he dies. Cool. Close this door. Dire elephants are big, but they're not apparently big enough to break down doors. Could I not use the deep water to kite them? That's a really good idea, Culture Vulture. The only problem is that dire elephants are so big that they simply walk through deep water like giants. Otherwise, that would work just fine. That would work on almost any other monster. Spire. Uh-oh, there's 2. There's 2. We don't want to fight 2 at once. We can just barely reliably kill 1. I will try this. I will just sort of do a dart, and we're going to try to go up the hatch. Okay, good, it worked. Put up the spire. We're actually not super likely to take damage, or a ton of damage from these guys, because of the fact that I've got my shield here. Shields are really, really reliable. Plus, we're slowing, remember, we're slowing them down with the Curares, so they're getting way less action. Really, way less actions than they otherwise would be. This was totally worth it. Staff of Death I don't care about. I'm not really using Necromancy. I don't need an enhancer on that. And I don't need RN Plus because I've got the Hat of the Bear Spirit. Sack of Spiders, though, is amazing. We're going to drop Boomerangs, drop Poison Darts, drop the Rapier Speed, pick up Sack. Pretty good. Yeah, Wesley, I don't think that the elephant-shaped statues look differently when they're the ones that are going to turn into real elephants. I don't think it says anything cool like, oh, well, their eyes are moving. Maybe it does. I'd have to check. But even if it did, I think I pretty much agree with you that this is a vault that's not very kind if you have never done it before. With that said, what's the worst case scenario? You're in here, or where is it? You're in, I guess, in the water room, and you kill the anaconda. And naturally, this door's going to be open because you just came in through it. This door's going to be closed. You're going to kill the anaconda, and then you're going to hear trumpeting. And you're going to be like, what the hell's going on? Because you immediately are hearing the trumpeting, so it's giving you some hint that something happened. And then behind you, if you're particularly unlucky, a dire elephant might make it through the door before you're able to shut it. But let's say you then, you see the first dire elephant, you're a new player, and you XV the thing, and you're like, hot diggity damn, this is an elephant on crack, he's going to crush me. You're going to do so much damage. Well, by this point in the game, if you're playing remotely conservatively, you should have some teleport scrolls, So it's like, it's not an enemy that's going to straight up kill you. In the general case, I think it would be nice if I mean, you could just put like a plaque here. You could just put a little plaque here that the player could read that's like some kind of riddle or something that talks about if the anaconda dies, the statues come alive, you know? Yeah, in general, I agree with you. I just want to like do this sort of devil's advocate defense that it's not going to kill a player unless they're making horrible mistakes already. That riddle sounds pretty stupid. I'm just spitballing. It's not the verbatim riddle. Let's see if I can shoot this guy backwards. Nope. Oh man. This is obnoxious. I tell you what we'll do. What's up, sucker? You can't open doors. I want to find this guy and kill him. I'm using Shift X and then Control F to forget the level, and then I'm just pressing Auto Explore again. Useful little trick. Curare. We'll just Searing Ray him. Nice. I can do the same thing, Shift X, Control U, to remember the level. the riddle should just be you're about to get stomped. It's hilarious. Once again, almighty monsters losing to doors. Yeah, it is kind of funny, just like really mundane things like nets and doors are just the ultimate tactic in this game. Alrighty, so that's Lair. And just like with our Mibby, this is kind of where the game opens up a little bit. You know, we pretty much don't want to go, for the most part, it's a rare situation that we would want to directly go into a Lair branch like Spider or Swamp right now. Although it's not impossible. If we didn't have MR, it might be the right thing to do. Definitely wouldn't want to go to Slime at this point in the game unless we were just showboating like a madman and or were worshipping Jivia and had max piety. For this character, because we have MR, we either want to dive dungeon or we want to go into Orc. And because I'm worshipping Ashenzari, I feel completely and totally confident about diving dungeon. Well, not diving, but just doing dungeon. Because if I go down, I'm not going to get shafted into some bullshit Menmei vault. I'm not going to get teleported into some bullshit Menmei vault. I'm going to basically be able to do the game at my leisure because I'm an Ashenzari worshiper. So essentially there's no fear here. And even if there was, I have such MR that I cannot be paralyzed, really. So I feel pretty good about doing the rest of dungeon. And then after that, I'll do Orc, because Orc could very well throw the giant ending at me, which would be mildly annoying for this character since I would have to deal with things like stone giants. Let's take a look at stone giants. 45 damage plus 20 from their rocks. You're looking at roughly 65 damage at range. And while I might block that with my shield, or I might evade it, I might also just like take that to the face and die. So I'd like to be a little bit more strong before I deal with that. I think this is a good stopping point, clearing out Lair. It gives me some time as well to think about where I want to take the character. One thing you'll notice is that this character is very much more, if you watch the Mibby tutorial and you're a newer player, you're probably noticing that this character is way more subject to the RNG of what items the game gives me, okay? Because I could have found any set of books imaginable, spells imaginable. I could have found no spells at all, just weapons, you know? I could have not found all these great rings. They're not that good, but they're okay. I could have not found this Hat of the Bear Spirit. I could have not found this War Axe, which has helped me less than it probably should have. If I didn't find Petrify, I definitely wouldn't have been able to learn it. If I didn't find Lightning Spire, which you should almost always take, I wouldn't have been able to learn it. So, I mean, I would be playing the game differently based on what I've found, and that's what's going to make creating a, written sort of, a write-up for this kind of character. It's going to make it difficult. on account of the fact that, like, unlike a Mibby, like, on a Mibby, I can tell you, go train your access to this, train your dodging to this, train your fighting to this, and that's going to be correct, or somewhere in the ballpark of correct every single game. You cannot go wrong, really. Like, you can be slightly off from optimal, but you can't really go wrong following a plan like that. If I try to tell you to do that for this character, it's going to completely ignore what spells you found during your process of playing. So it's essentially, I would make the argument that it's near to impossible, at least while being concise, to write a guide like that. Unless I described every single spell in the game and every single part of the game where you might find it and whether you should take it or not. And then you're going to have to describe like all the different states that your character could be in and the training that you already have. It's all very, very subjective as well. But it's also subject to, well, like I said, the game state information. So it's all going to have to be written at a very high level, describing kind of not a direct path. Seeded play is available now. I could write a guide and give a seed. That would be pretty... Yeah, I could dick around with some seeds. That could be interesting. Where it's like... I wonder... See, what they really need to do... I'm kind of waiting for Advil to make some level of customization for seeds where you can... Because what I would like to do is I'd like to create... I guess I could just create like a sprint or something for people, but wouldn't it be interesting if you were guaranteed access to certain spells, and it could give you a chance to play around with certain things in a very sequential order, just spitballing ideas. But that's not DCSS. To me, that's a different game. DCSS is a game that forces you to make lemonade out of lemons or die trying, and I think that's one of the most interesting things about the game, even if it is frustrating at times when you really are given nothing but lemons. This game, we've been sort of gifted with some good stuff. Lightning Spire is really, really strong. Petrify is a nice stepping stone to stat form if we find it, and even if we don't, it's just a great tool for killing just about anything that doesn't have near infinite magic resistance, since we can just try to use it over and over until the thing gets petrified and we stab it to death. Winning a seeded game of OpCj will still teach you tactics. Oh, for sure. I mean, winning any game with an Octopode is impressive. It's a very difficult, one of the most difficult types of characters in DCSS. That's the most important part for sure. Well, the thing I hear more often than not from people is like, I don't know how to play casters. How do I play casters? Well, the reason you can't play casters is because they're 30 times more difficult than melee characters. And I cheat a little bit generally by making my casters into melee characters if I can find stat form, blade hands, dragon form, things like that. But even if you do that, they're more difficult than melee characters because you've still got to deal with the early game. And then if you insist on continuing to be a blaster, like a summoner, or especially a blaster into the late game, and you're still super, super fragile, that's a level of difficulty that kind of stays with you. But I mean, at that point, you're essentially playing a conduct run, To me, DCSS is about doing the best, most optimal thing you can do at any given point in the game. And the sad thing is that does kind of lead you down similar paths a lot, kind of down the stat form path a lot for me. Octopode was your first 15 rune game, but man, did the first 60% of the game feel tedious. Well, I've done 2 multi-hour long sessions on Twitch, and we've only cleared Lair just now at the end of the second session. So you're definitely right. Octopode can be rather tedious. Like I had to play very slowly and take very few risks. And that's how you need to play all the time if you're streaking at all. But on an Octopode, it's basically necessary to do that to win it all, because you're stuck with no AC, for pretty much the majority of the game until you find something like stat form. So I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting character, and I'm glad that it was suggested to me on Reddit to play an Octopode Conjurer because I think we're getting some good content out of it. Best advice: do the thing that makes you not die. I don't think that sounds stupid. I think that's wonderful advice. Your priority in DCSS. Everybody wants to, make big booms. They want to cast Firestorm. They want to do wild and crazy bullshit. But that's more or less the worst thing you can do in terms of your survivability. As you say, do the thing that makes you not die. Like the least flashy thing possible is usually the best way to go. There are exceptions, you know, sometimes it actually does pay off to use that MO scroll, that immolation scroll to blow up a whole room full of monsters, but usually if you're showboating, you're doing something wrong. Typically if you're going for a higher level spell before a lower level spell, you're doing something wrong. You know, that's a rule of thumb. Like most rules of thumb, it's often wrong, but in general, it's correct. Yeah, maybe so, Wesley. I don't know. I mean, there are times that my sort of proscribed path of gameplay has haunted me a bit. I'm remembering like a Deep Elf game where I instinctually went for my stat form play. And even though stat form was available, it was 100% the wrong decision, and it almost got me killed. I was on the streak, actually, because for that character, the absolute right thing to do was to go for something like Fireball, which had spawned, which I already had some training in, if I recall. And then the thing is, there were shoals, and you could just Fireball things. If you have Fireball and it's a decent spell power, and you're in shoals, well, not only are you going to get steam clouds from the fire, you're going to one-shot most of the things in there. And so unlike a freaking Deep Elf where your unarmed combat is awful, and, you know, you're fragile, really you're fragile even in statue form, at least at first, you really kind of have to marry yourself to being a fragile caster on a Deep Elf for a good long while. You can eventually switch over, but that's just more of a matter of convenience than needing it to win the game, you know. But anyway, I've been talking for a while, and I'm about to stop the stream. But I do appreciate you guys watching. I do appreciate the subs and the bits. Definitely super duper appreciated. But all good things come to an end, and until next time, I am signing out. Did you know that there are many ways that you can help support this channel? Read about them on rosecrypto.com/support. At Rose Crypto, you can learn all about cool things like the Brave web browser, Bitcoin, and other cryptocurrencies. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.